to still have to rummage through the screens. Peace to the family. We on live with my brother and great friend, mentee, everything. Hall of Famer, Fitness Hall of Famer, youngest inducted, Nathaniel Dilworth. And we're going to talk to you today about disease or disease. And I want you to get your pen and your pad. I want to give you as much time as possible to get your pen and your pad ready while he introduces himself and what he does, while I make sure we locked in with the community. So, brother Nathaniel Dilworth, and sisters, an idea of who you are and what you bring to the table, your contribution to humanity.
Awesome. Well,
let's try to get you connected there as well.
Well, as you may know, or as you may or may not know, my name is Nate Dilworth. My background is basically, I know technically where I'm from and what I do. I'm actually from North Texas. I have an electrical engineering degree. As you know, as an engineer, we look at things differently. And so just looking for the average everyday thing that, I guess, sort of like trying to figure out how it works. We do much better at those things. And so I'm actually certified by the National Academy of Sports Medicine, which is one of the best certifications that you can possibly have. And like I said, I have a 4-year bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, and I have basically my nutrition consulting license. And so that really doesn't mean anything, no, if we're not able to help you today. Basically what we want to do is we want to bring forth some new information that may be pertinent for you and your health in particular. I would like to say that I thank Brother Polite for letting me be with him. A lot of people have seen me with them and they didn't really know who I was. But like a lot of you guys, I'm a follower of Brother Polite and a lot of his philosophies, and we're always talking, we're always building about different things that are even beyond what health and fitness are. But sometimes if you do want to be healthy, if you want to be fit, you do have to go beyond the average everyday reasoning, because there's a lot of information out there that may be disinformative of what the truth may really be about health and fitness. And what we're here to do, we're just here to bring the information that will be pertinent to you and maybe show you a little information that will be good for you and bring the real reasons why people are going through these problems. You already hear Polite talk to you every day about the deeper reasons why people are going through things, as it just seems that he every time ends up in the health and fitness department, every time he's talking about these things. And so we follow suit on that same level, or on that same type of platform. So I'm only here to help today. I'm not the star of this show. Brother Polite is actually the star. I really look up to him and what he does for the community. So anytime that he wants to help you, I'll be here to help because he wants to. So
I appreciate that. Now we're gonna get straight to work here. Of course, this is an early stream. I told you I'm committed to giving you as much information as possible and making sure that it's absolutely free. I want you to take note of how much things you will learn today, that you can only imagine what amount of it, what you have learned, had you paid for a very expensive education and sifted through the things you could immediately connect to yourself. That's what I'm talking about. Because we go to school, and many people go to school under what I believe to be false pretense. And what I mean by that is most of us have this idea to go to school for the purposes of not really getting an education, which is a half truth, more rather to get an education so we can get a job. I don't know how many people actually go to school just for the knowledge. We may go to fight a war in Iraq or Afghanistan, Iran, so we can get some kind of leverage on our student loan or our educational expenses. Those are concessions made to you to risk your life in order that you may go to school not exactly for the education. I'm sure you're not fighting the war for the education. You're fighting the war to be able to make a living. But there goes a very disingenuous term called make a living. It's very disingenuous if you think about it, to go to school in order to learn how to make a living, but they don't teach you how to sustain life. And therefore, you may find yourself paying to go to a university, and they never tell you anything about the cosmos unless you sign up to be an astrophysicist. So these things keep us culturally bound to a deception that really doesn't do much for us over time. And so this channel is dedicated to giving you the information that you read out of very thick books, right? You might get a book this big and this thick. It's one of my favorite authors. Yes, he's a white man. I'm entitled to have favorite white authors. It happens. R.S. Swallow Dilworth. This is part 1. I got part 2 back here as well. R.S. Swallow Dilworth, Temple of Man. It's a mathematical book. That's why I like it. I mean, you definitely have to be involved in mathematics. I'm familiar and teach or taught sentential calculus, calculus, algebra, geometry, and sequential mathematics 1 to 6. I used to tutor those things, though I dropped out of school 10th grade. But I understood if people didn't know it, I would be able to sustain my life, make a living, right? And so I spent my time becoming very proficient in those things, and then I was able to make connections with that information in my life to improve and advance my biology. And when you read books this thick, the goal as a teacher is to sift through this info and find out what it is inside of here that I can share with you in its most concise form. So I have to kind of tap into the psychology of the demographic that I'm catering to and save you the time. Not to tell you never to buy these big books, but perhaps me spending enough time in this genre of information or this field of research, I may be better able to articulate to you what you may not have been able to understand. Granted, the fact you have not been studying this for years on end. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So the reason why we have Brother Nate here, because he's shown suitable proficiency in the preceding degrees when it comes to health, and his examinations and his synopsis of what has been transpiring with the human body in retrospect to his engineering disposition, which precedes his life path as far as health is concerned. He's been able to find correspondences between the two and therefore run it concurrent, understanding that the body is an actual mechanism and is very sophisticated in as far as fact, the way it makes adjustments, the algorithms of the human body. And now he can empower you with information to set you on your path of study. You may not even know where to begin. Many of us are newly found to this information. And I guarantee when he starts teaching, you're going to say, man, I never knew that. I'm not familiar with those words and terms. And you know, if I'm hanging around somebody and if I'm co-signing somebody, you know they're going to give you some words you never heard before. Don't get mad. He's not going to use them on purpose to lose you. He's using them because these are the best words to use. These are the words that suffice to convey that which he needs to give to you in order for you to be able to do something with it. So the goal is, in our studies, how can we make it easier for people to appreciate what they need to know and do? Because reading thick books like this, by the time you finish this book, if this was a health book, by the time you finish this book, you may be very well on the verge of death or, plagued with disease. And what I mean by that is, if you're not proficient in that study, it may take you longer to finish the book and then find the 5 or 6 pages that really have meaning to you at that point. Maybe you read that book next year. There's another 5 or 6 pages that have meaning to you. Maybe another year. Now 20 pages have meaning to you. You have to keep going back to the book because you keep going on different levels every year of your study. This is how it works. But the beauty about this world is that you have teachers that have taken the time to study these things. And because of their sincerity, they find a way to articulate this information so it can empower you and give you the vigor or the impetus to do more research and make change in your life. I'm just explaining to you all why this class is important, why every class we do here is important. Don't forget to sign up for our real estate courses. And this week we have a sovereign and credit repair workshop starting Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep that in mind, okay? 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sovereign Credit Repair Workshop. And by sovereign, we don't mean you have the right to conduct vehicular homicide, knock people over, and don't have to hold yourself accountable. We don't mean that you could throw your birth certificate and your social security card in the water. I just have to say the disclaimer over and over and over again. We are talking about having autonomy, some type of control over ourselves or our livelihood, and that's in the form of economic sovereignty. In our language, we say kuwina akunu. In our language, Indu Asusu, which means living language. So I thank you all. Thank you, Sister Jasmine James, who gives us appreciation for sharing this knowledge. All right. Now, let me ask Brother Nate some questions, because this is entitled Disease or Dis-ease. And, exactly. And a lot of the biological anomalies, idiosyncrasies, and idiopathic disorders. By idiopathic, we mean there's disorders that arise because of reasons that really even people in medical science can't really explain how it manifested. They may come up with a treatment, but they themselves may not know what's the inception of it. That's what we mean by idiopathic. Let's build. I believe a lot of the idiopathic disorders that we are confronted with is on account to some kind of emotional distress. And I find that Brother Nate feels the same about happiness and relativity to health. And therefore, dis-ease is very relevant to this conversation. I want to ask Nate about the tests. Okay, I just did a course where we was going over some tests that people should take. And I want you to elaborate in great detail, because I know that you have amazing results with all the body transformations, you being inducted into the Hall of Fame, because there's so many people in such a short period of time are achieving the results that they're looking for physiologically wise. And so I want you to first discuss with the people, what kind of tests should they take? And the reason why I told the people they should take some of these exams that you're going to go over, you're more likely going to go even further, far and beyond. I said, we want to approach health holistically. Right. And the way that we arrive at certain diseases are not exactly the same. So you can have cancer and I can have cancer and someone else can have cancer. But the way we wind up getting cancer was under different circumstances and conditions. And therefore we have to factor in as much as we can, whether it be gender, blood type, weight, age. We have to factor in ethnicity. In many cases, there's so many permutations that it stands to reason that we can all have we can find ourselves in the same category of disease, but how we arrive at that disease is a whole different story. And therefore, there's certain prerequisite things that we should do or find incumbent to get done before we even really start allowing people to diagnose us and tell us what we need to get done. And this is what I disagree with the medical institution, because I don't know when anyone has ever really gone to a doctor and before they start their testing tell you, have you done a mineral test for your hair? Did you get a CT scan? You know, what's your testosterone levels like? Do you know? You know, we don't even know enough to ask those questions, and we don't know enough to know that they should be asking us these questions because we might not even have to go to the doctor. Granted, we understand what these things mean and represent. So can you tell us some of the tests that you think is prerequisite to a person being able to conduct some form of a self-diagnosis for themselves? Because the more you know about yourself, the more you empower the person you're looking to for help to aid you. Right. Right? So what are some tests that we should have done? How much do they cost about? Why the necessity for the test? What exactly are you looking for? If you can just give us this. Test one, give us the first test. Okay. Well, I would say the first thing that a person needs to do is have a CBC test. That's going to give us our basically the blood platelet count that you need that's in your body. Actually, if your blood or your red blood cells are very low, you may be anemic and not know it. Also, another thing is depending on which individual that may be, certain people react differently to certain levels. So
Brother Polite may have a certain amount of red blood cells that is flowing through his body and a certain amount that's flowing through my body. And for him in particular, it may be better for him than me, or vice versa. So we need to have a CBC test. Also, if you don't know what the red blood cells do, the red blood cells carry oxygen through your body. So you could, in particular, know that you're going to have to change certain things about your meal planning as this arises. So let's just say we take a CBC test and we find out that we have low red blood cells, right? So what do? Now, a lot of people, they don't know. And so from my perspective, we go, okay, well, let's check this out. We know that there's many ways that this can come about, but let's take a look at what is the most common thing. So with that in mind, I'm not gonna do too many complicated things for a lot of different people. We need to take a look at the iron levels of the body. Now, keep in mind, iron is something that is needed by the body to boost these red blood cells, but we may not even know that we need it. So there are plenty of foods that bring iron or your iron levels up. And sometimes a person makes it so far that they have to actually take intravenous iron. I mean, it could get to that point. When you go to your doctor, it may be a little bit too late to be attempting to eat your way into having enough iron. So you may need to take it intravenously. And so you may not even know it. Like Brother Polite was saying, you may be on the verge of death by the time you figure out what's going on with your body. Also, a test that you should do is something that's called your A1C. Now, A1C is very, very, very important. Why? Because there's a lot of people who are on the verge of being diabetic and they don't know it. That range of being diabetic or pre-diabetic is between 5.5 to 5.8 on that scale of A1C. Now, they call this pre-diabetes, and some people have a tendency to even go, oh, well, I'm not diabetic, though. Let me just wait till next week to handle this. Now, you're leaving the office knowing fully well if you may do one more thing, you may slide into a state of dis-ease, but you have a tendency to want to just wait one more day, and you can imagine what can be already on that person's life. As an aside, like what Brother Polite was talking about before, and I talk about is the state of the happiness that a person has whenever they think in this way, because it's absolutely not logical for them to think this way. With this in mind, we have to take a look at why the person is actually maybe eating the things that they're eating, but since we're talking about testing, we'll come back to that later. Another thing for males, they should have a testosterone test. If you don't know, males do not act correctly when their testosterone levels are too low. Now, a lot of people want to go out there and they get something called TRT, or testosterone replacement therapy. Now, this may not necessarily be the answer that I would tell people to do. My thing is more from a holistic standpoint. There are a lot of things that you can eat to keep your testosterone levels up. And like Brother Polite would tell you, rather than things that you may eat to keep it up, there may be things that you should not eat to bring it down. Because a lot of people are always thinking, what can I eat to be better, right? No one thinks, what should I not eat to put myself in a position at which would make it bad for me? So obviously you need testosterone for levels of a guy is on average more confident when he has higher levels of testosterone. As you see, sometimes you'll become more worrisome as a guy if you don't have those levels, or you become unpleasant. Another test and that you should have in particular for women is a progesterone test and an estrogen test. And a lot of this, a lot of things that have to deal with the hair, a lot of just the hormone imbalances in particular in the body, which I won't go too deep. Y'all can look this up. But there's actually 4 different types of estrogens that exist. A 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4, and 4, which comes in the time of pregnancy. Whenever these are out of whack, which is what you normally see when a woman hits menopause, I do say that maybe they need some type of balance brought to them by their doctor or whoever they may choose. But these things have to be in order. Or you'll see that if you have a wife that is going through that, and I'm not saying you do, you'll see that she starts to act differently. But there's a supplement called DMI that they use to actually, from broccoli. It's actually made from broccoli. that they use to help convert more of that out of your body than not. And it actually is used to, as an aside to if a person's taking in too many phytoestrogens, something like that comes from soy, and I know Brother Polite talks about this a lot, then it can be used to combat the bad parts of soy estrogen products. Another test in general, I'm giving you some in general tests here, but also basically an FH test. And what that does is you have something that your brain produces to make your body actually produce the hormones you need. And sometimes it's like you have follicle stimulating hormone, and then you have, I believe they call it luteinizing hormone. So I'm sorry, it's not FH, it's LH. So luteinizing hormone for a guy, what does it do? It's something that your brain sends as a signal down to your testes to make sure that your testes are stimulating enough hormone in your body. Now you can imagine if you're not correct in this area, you may not be making enough, and it may not be that you need some type of replacement. You just need to intake foods that help optimize this. Sometimes it has been used, not to say that I'm going to tell you everything scientific today, so not ever proven, but it has been used tribulus to actually bring those levels up. So those are a few of the basic, what you call in-doctor tests that you should do. Progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, CBC test, which if you get a metabolic panel, CBC is going to be involved with that. And thyroid, I forgot totally about that. Your thyroid, you do want to know what that is, because you got something called T3, which is what you call active thyroid. And then you got something that's called T4, which is inactive thyroid. So a lot of you guys, when y'all are dieting, when you start the diet, sometimes you see a diminishing level of energy, or you may see that your weight loss in particular slows down. Sometimes that doesn't have to do with the fact that you were doing the wrong diet, because I just want y'all to know, and this is just a fact, when you diet, your metabolic rate, I know a lot of people say that your metabolic rate goes up, but if you diet for any extended period of time, your metabolic rate does go down. And notice that I made a I'm going to distinguish between metabolism and metabolic rate. Metabolism is what you're born with. You're born with that, you'll have that to the day you die. And then you have something called metabolic rate, which can be manipulated by how much muscle is on the body, and in particular, bringing the levels up by how you eat. Not to get off the subject too far, I just wanted to just distinguish between those two. Now, with that in mind, we do need to know what the thyroid levels are, because if you make it to a point in dieting and your T4 levels are high, which is inactive thyroid, obviously you need the active form of thyroid in order to lose more. And then at this point, you may need to venture a little off your diet. And I'm not talking about forever, but just for a second, to raise the active thyroid levels back in the body, get the T3 levels back up, and then you can continue with what you were doing. Now, keep in mind, it's easy to do this if you are focused and you're already happy, but sometimes some people get so fixated on eating what they want to eat, they don't understand that sometimes something that may not be the best thing could be the best thing at times when you've been doing so well for so long. So it's all about the goal. All foods are good when they are used in the proper manner. That's what I wanted to say. Now, another test that y'all can take is called it's slipping my mind, a CT scan. Now, a lot of you guys are out there and you want to know what's going on the inside. Now, a CT scan in particular has saved lives. What this does is scan your heart and give you the calcium levels in your heart and the calcium buildup. And it could actually show you where you're actually clogged up. Now, they have two of these type of tests. One is for microvascular work. Now, a lot of people don't know that there's major vascular and microvascular to the heart. Now, major vascular is what causes most people, obviously, to have heart attacks and diseases of that like. So it is so important that you go in and get the scan. They can tell you even the valves that may be clogged up with calcium, and you can potentially save your life when your arteries in your heart are potentially narrowing. Another test that, and this is, we're gonna go all the way through health. So is to get an STD test. Now, with that in mind, a lot of people don't, they don't take that as a part of health, but I definitely think it's a part of health. A lot of times people are suffering in ways that they don't want to really mention. So when they go in and they see your CBC test and they see your WBC or your white blood count, and you have low blood, or you have an elevated amount of white blood cells, sometimes there's something going on in your body and you're like, whoa, I mean, why is that so elevated? Maybe because it's fighting something. Sometimes that may be a little bit low. Also, that may be because you're fighting something. Now, that may be outside of the realm of what Brother Polite likes to talk about, which is Black genetics. Now, a lot of people don't know on these tests, there are 2 different ratings on some of the values or some of the testing for Black people and everybody else. So you'll see a level rating for everybody else, and you'll see a level rating for Black people. And you'll see this quite often. Now, quite often, Black people, if you don't know, or African Americans, have sickle cells. They do. Black African Americans have more sickle cells than anybody. It is a mutation for malaria, and it is actually there to save you from things that may happen that are not good. Now, but to stay on the subject of the STD test, and I don't want to go too far away from it, it can actually allow you to see why some of the other counts may be off. And hey, if something's wrong, get it taken care of so you can be overall healthy for the rest of your life. And this is just a serious thing. I ain't gonna even be lying to you like that. And then people don't want to talk about it, but it's absolutely true. Now, I also want to say that there is also in particular a lower level that most Black people carry in white blood cells. Because one time when I went in, my white blood cells were low and I was kind of concerned. And I went to him and I asked, I said, well, why is this the rating and my white blood cells are already here? And they said, well, African Americans on average carry a lower level of white blood cells or don't need as many to kill the same amount of diseases that may come in their body. It actually may be more harmful to them if they have more white blood cells than what they had. This is just true. So with this in mind, put those 2 together and that's going to give you a good reading for what you need. Another test that you should take is something called a food allergy test. Now, I really push food allergy tests. And why? Because all knowledge is general until it's specific. So let's just say cucumbers are very good. Brother Polite, you know cucumbers are good. Everyone does, but he teaches specifically why they would be good. Now let's take a man like me. I may take the advice and be like, you know what, that's right, I need to do that. Now I'll go eat some cucumbers and I'll get sick and be like, oh, Polite, why the hell is this not working? I'm getting sick. Now, keep in mind, this has not happened because I have a food allergy test. Now, on my food allergy test, it says I'm moderately allergic to cucumbers. Is this Brother Polite's fault? Absolutely not. That's my physiology. He was talking about maybe the 95th percentile of the world. I may fall into that 5th percentile that my body genetics don't handle it or my body doesn't handle it. Doesn't make him wrong. It's just what we have. So take it as general knowledge. Once you get this laid out 100%, where it's saying Nate, highly allergic to brewer's yeast, moderately allergic to cucumber, mildly allergic to cashews, you may find out that it is not that the food was bad, is that you were intaking so much of it. Because I know I eat cucumber salads all the time, and I've always done that. And so I never even knew that it could give me an allergy by eating it too much. Cashews, something that I love, very healthy. And so I was eating that. I didn't know I had ate so much of it. It gave me a mild allergy. So with this in mind, will your meal plan need to change periodically? You see, when people ask that, they are thinking of, oh, I'm going to change my meal plan and I'm not going to think about the calories. But there is a specific way to get somewhat of the same nutrients from something else and keep the calorie level the same. So with this in mind, why wouldn't you switch to something else? So if cucumbers are hurting me, well, there may be something else Polite can tell you that would be absolutely great to do the same thing and take as many calories of that as what you were eating. And you may eat it and start losing weight and notice that, oh, I'm losing muscle. No. It was just that you did not consume the amount of what you needed of that particular item to get what you needed. So we have to take a look at all of these things. And another test, this is kind of joking. I sent it to Polite kind of jokingly, an IQ test. Now, a lot of people don't believe in IQ tests that come from engineering. And so IQ is something that I believe is true. And when I send them the test, I always encourage people to take an IQ test. Not to go too.
I always do the same thing too.
Okay, because you're gonna find that there's a correlation between us having to tell you to do these tests and that IQ test. Like, because most people, either they're very intelligent and they're emotionally unintelligent, or they're not as intelligent as what they think if they don't think they need to do these things. That's the position that I stand on in life. I don't mean to I don't mean to be funny or anything like that. But sometimes we look too far. I know a joke that me and Polite tell is you have some of these rappers out there with some of the worst lyrics, right? Making millions of dollars, and you got all these smart gurus, numerologists, like astrologists, and they making nothing, and they way smarter than them people that's doing those lyrics. But who's really intelligent if they making all of the money and all of these people ain't able to substantiate anything from what they've done, especially when it's not super saturated. So what I mean is this: name the most famous numerologist you've ever heard of. Name the most famous holistic medicine person you know. And if there's not a multitude of names, it's not saturated. So, but you can name who just done this certain rap song and they just started. That means that that thing is saturated. So if something's not saturated, but you're not able to be successful in it, and there's others that are being successful in something that we would consider saturated, then we must reevaluate what's going on with that. That's another subject. I'm speaking from that level. I approach it all. So with that in mind, I think those are some great tests for you to do. I always encourage to get an MRI too. I know it sounds weird, but when you get an MRI and you get your body cut up on that machine, and not literally, but cut up in layers, it may show you some things that you may not have even been thinking about. Some people have even caught cancers during a scan for something else. So I encourage all of that testing. Once you get that spectrum of testing, we can particularly take a better look at what you need. I mean, for me, avocados, I mean, they were very good and I was having them. I took the test and it said I was allergic to avocado. What do I need to do? I may need to combine some acetylcysteine or an amino acid that's good at cleaning out the liver, as well as maybe some garlic. And that may balance out what it is, since it's only a moderate. We don't know what this is until we know these things. So it's hard to criticize someone who's attempting to help you, that doesn't know your background and that doesn't know if you're lying about whatever you're saying, or you may not even be following the absolute correct protocol that they're saying. I'm just saying, give the people that can help you a chance. Give them the most information they possibly can, and you would be, as a person, way more successful, and also be more honest with yourself. I would also like to say that in looking at this, and we're going to break this down, me and Brother Polite, because he's going to give me some more questions. Make sure that you're happy, right? I know this is weird for me to say. The greatest help you will ever experience is happiness. Now, keep in mind, our grandmothers way back in the day, right after slavery, were still living to be 90 years old. They were. So with that in mind, what were they cooking? They were cooking fried chicken, and they were poor and they were broke. And a lot of times they would bless that thing and they would say, let that be a nourishment to our body. And I know a lot of you guys know that out there, even though it was wrong. But it is almost the spirit behind it and the love that was behind it that made the food better than what it was. It's because the feeling that you had that went along with it. Now, today, that could be maybe detrimental to us today because of what we have access to in order, as far as our consumption is concerned. And because they didn't have access to all of the foods, but they may have had a minimal amount of food that wasn't the best, but they had a great attitude and they were happy to be with one another as a family. Today, we're consuming the same foods and our families are broken, and we're going out and we're doing lots of things that may be detrimental to our body, and we can carry it even further because we have more access to carry it that far. And which is kind of crazy. Whenever you get access to do good, you will want to do good. But as Brother Polite teaches, some of the things from the past that may be taken in genetically couldn't be passed to the child through transgenerational epigenetics. And he talks about this a lot, and which is why I agree with them on that particular subject. Now, what I'm going to say, I know Polite is going to get ready to ask me some questions. I say, be happy. We're talking about dis-ease. So with that in mind, we're going to define what disease is, because we're talking about health to avoid disease or dis-ease. Now, whenever you say dis-ease, some people don't even know this is a double negative. So what is a double negative? Well, whenever you have an English sentence, your English teacher tells you, don't say two no's in a sentence. So even English says, don't say two no's. I have never not done that thing. You're not supposed to do stuff like that. You're not supposed to say it in English. I know that may not be important, but that is true. With that in mind, let's just take the word ease. Now, ease is associated with the slack of something, or if a rope is too tight, we let off the rope. Ease is also associated with causality, because when something is easy, we have a tendency to be more happy. Some of us want a challenge. We also associate the word ease with relief. That means that the word ease has a component, and in science they will call that potential energy and kinetic energy, right? So ease is the after effect. So if you were in a state of ease, what did you have to have before? You had to have some type of constraint to have ease, right? So with that in mind, then what is stress? And what do we want relief from? We want relief from stress. When we get that relief from stress, that's called ease. Now, if we relieve our stresses with bad food, we give ourselves dis-ease. Why? Because we were already in a state that was bad, and we relaxed ourselves with bad things, and thus, since we were eating things that we should not, it gave us dis-ease, or problems that we potentially would have with our body that we wouldn't care about, because we're gaining ease from doing bad things. Now, it doesn't sound like it's very intelligent. It really doesn't. But at the same time, we have to factor in that every human wants happiness. What is happiness connected to? Higher levels of dopamine. So a lot of times when people are actually doing things, and you don't really understand why they're doing them, like me, I could never understand why a person jumped off a mountain. And I was like, I would never do something like that. But when you understand the reward center is being heavily manipulated at this time, you can understand every time they jumped off. So if you had the absolute, and according to humans, if they're normal, the absolute best feeling that you can have is a sexual orgasm, right? It rewards you. Why? Because the human race was meant to move forward and meant to procreate and have children. With this in mind, certain people get to the level that they have to go beyond that, because they don't actually live their life to actually be able to take control of that type of sexual energy, or use the energy to do many things. Anybody who's feeling that their motivations are not that are not sexual is crazy. Like every man and every woman wants to be successful for a reason, and that is to meet better mates all the time. That's just what it is. And if you have a higher mating position, you're always going to be happy. No woman ever gets mad at people telling them they're beautiful a lot, unless that they feel that they're ugly. That's why I said normal people. So if someone told you, like someone may get upset. I don't know. So with that in mind, if someone said, man, you beautiful, and a lady was told that 15 times that day, she's not gonna have a bad day. Now with that in mind, we get attached to things that give us dopamine. What does this mean? Sugar has a high affinity to produce dopamine in the mind. There's even a study that we don't have up right now, but you can look this up. The sugar is associated with almost having one hit of crack. Like, and this is true, you can look it up. Now with this in mind, you're gonna hear ladies make statements like this. Oh my God, this chocolate is better than sex. Everyone has heard some stuff like this from somebody, and you can analyze what's going on in their life, and they don't potentially have a lot of mates around. And because they're not willing to maybe put themselves in position or grow themselves in such a way that it would be good for them, they settle for something else, right? So we have to see how we're derailing our bodies from what we need. I'm going to say that and make a more bold statement. It is not that we want to die. It is that our genetics do not want to live under conditions at which it wasn't designed. Everybody's designed to be successful. With that in mind, if you go out every day and you're not being successful, you're going to start feeling bad, and you're going to have to replace this with something, right? You don't have to, but you will. Why? Because if your body doesn't want to live under stressful conditions, it's going to find a way to kill itself. And since the human body doesn't want pain, it's going to give you morphine at the same time. What do I mean? Well, you don't want to do the right thing. You don't want to be happy, or you don't want to find a happiness, or you don't feel it's important enough. You start eating things you shouldn't. Then you get happy. But what happens? The double negative. You get disease of the heart. The fat keeps growing. The fat keeps growing in your heart. Your body is actually bringing you to a level of death, and you don't even know it. It's actually moving you straight to a point of death. The more merciful thing, and again, this is him bringing me on. This may not be his view. The more merciful thing for a person to do would be to kill himself quickly. Why? Because why don't you think it's torture to live in a way that would be killing yourself for a long extended period of time and giving yourself morphine, which is food, making yourself feel good through it, just to die at the end? You get your foot cut off, then you get your the lower part of your leg cut off, then your other leg gets cut off, then your Lord knows whatever else is getting cut off because you're having diabetes, but you're just so happy because you're able to eat. Well, at least I'm still able to eat these certain things. This is insane thinking.
Just like we discussed today, where one of my daughter's friends' mother took allergy pills so she can continue to eat the food that gives her allergies. She said, hey, let me make sure I take these allergy pills so I can eat this cheese. And automatically Nate seen me go, I had to take a walk because it's not my place to be rude or disrespectful to people. And obviously, if this person's in a space where they're taking allergy pills so they can consume the food that gives them allergies, then not only can I make an estimation about where they are emotionally, right, and intellectually, I can also make an estimation about
IQ test.
I can also make an estimation about the doctors that gave it to her and suggested that she use these things for this reason. And so it wouldn't matter to me at this particular point who has a degree. Because if you have a degree and you give me medication that I can consume in order that I may eat food that I'm allergic to, how in the world could that equation make you the benefactor? You cannot tell me something wrong still doesn't transpire. If I take something for my allergies to consume something that gives me allergies, something has to be going horribly wrong.
100.
This is not the cure for the allergies. And furthermore, your body will create allergies just because of an overconsumption of that particular food, which is why you have to have rotations. And one of the worst things that we do, especially when we become vegan and vegetarian, we find a comfort zone and we'll eat ourselves into diabetes. You'll find many vegetarians losing their teeth, okay? or their bones become too brittle. Not because the food that they're eating is bad, not necessarily, but they have the same foods, and there's this, you don't have a heavy rotation going on. You have this thing where this is what I'm eating Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And if I go through the month, I'm pretty much eating the same thing all the time, every month thereafter. And so that lack of diversity causes you to do any of a number of things. What it can do, one, it'll make your body create an allergic response to what you've been overly consuming to protect you from yourself.
100.
And that's in the body's under the presumption, believe it or not, that you're probably taking tests. That's where IQ comes in. Like, you've been given the intelligence to know to look for these things, but we may disregard that. So the second line of defense may be to go blind or pass out or get bumps on your skin, some kind of marker that something you're eating probably isn't right. Another thing that can transpire when you don't have foods in rotation is that you wind up with an appetite. You might start drinking, you might start smoking when you never was. You might start craving chocolate when you never did. And that's because there's something in that food that you're not getting from the regular order of things. And so there's a craving that's precipitated that your body has on file, that even though that food is not that good, your body senses a yearning for it, has a yearning for it, and says, well, you know what? Though this food may not be what we really need to sustain ourselves because we're not getting it from anywhere else, we do know that he likes his Twix or his Snickers. So you know what? There's something in that caramel, even if it's not authentic caramel, we know he eats that food. We know he eats that pumpkin. We know this person drinks that alcohol. And for whatever reason, your body will say, you know what? There's a necessity for a craving just to get the one thing that's in there or two things that's in there because you're not getting it from somewhere else.
100.
And that's what transpires. So the body is always thinking all the time, whether we refuse to. It's always thinking. And we're not talking about outsmarting the body. You don't outsmart the genius. Your body's actually the genius. We always try to credit ourselves with genius. What the body does to keep you alive is nothing shy of genius. It makes accommodations and it makes concessions to keep you alive every day. It is thinking way more than you're thinking. So I don't even believe humans should get the credit for thinking as much as what the body does to keep them alive. So what we now have to do is captivate ourselves to, or encourage ourselves to catch up with the pace of consciousness of ourselves. In science, we call this autopoiesis. Autopoiesis is a cognitive ability transpiring on a cellular level, how your body interacts with itself, how bacteria even is thinking and communicates amongst each other, good bacteria that is. So we have to now find out how to establish a credibility intellectually that would afford ourselves the opportunity to respond and conform to the cellular matrix of the human body.
That's it, man. That's 100% the truth. Valight's laying it out for you guys, and so that's what I'm saying. You know, if people would just consider for a moment that, okay, cool. If people would consider for just a moment that the body is, in particular, a machine, always updating itself, always planning for the next move, they will do a lot better. And let me tell you, if people work out, let's just say it has been known that if you work out, it is a good anxiety reliever. And they always say, I'm going to give you a little bit different way of looking at it. As far as stress is concerned, and as far as getting your health back in shape, or just getting rid of stress, they say to work out. Now, check this out. Evolutionarily, when a human gets in trouble, there are levels of epinephrine that go up in his body or her body. So she starts to fight. When she fights, she's fighting for her life. Now, keep in mind, we don't arrive at stress right off the bat, because most of us, if we incurred enough stress right off the bat, we would go straight into fight or flight. something's always bringing the level up over life to where you have to get used to whatever you were going through. So let's take a look at exercise, for instance. Now, we have the stresses of life, and we deal with those stresses. Some people call that weights. I call it weight training. If you are dealing with the stresses of life and you're lifting it every single day, guess what's going to happen? If you overtrain, you're not going to be able to recover from it, right? So I'm going to take the example of lifting weights. So we're in there lifting weights. When you're lifting weights, let's just say the bar is on top of you. I know a lot of people may not have done this heavy amount of weight, but I'm just going to give you an example. You're lifting the bar. Let's say you have nobody to spot you, and spotting means somebody's there to make sure you can rack the bar in case that you run out of energy. Now you start pushing, and you're pushing, and you're pushing, and you're pushing, right? Now you get to a point that you get tired, and imagine your spotter walks away. What will you do? That stressed out position will send you into a state of fight or flight. So you start fighting, because now you know there may be a chance that your life may end. Now keep in mind, what happens if you lifted that weight and then someone said, run to the next bench and do the same. They take the same weight off and you go down. You may do it again, and you may go, and you may do it again. Well, what is going to eventually happen is you're not going to be able to keep fighting like this. Somehow, some way, something's going to happen to you to where you're going to get to a state of despair, or what I like to say is a state of shock. Now, keep in mind, what is shock? Shock is the body relieving itself of high blood pressure. Right now, keep in mind, if everybody, this is true, when everybody is out there and they're living stressful lives and they're lifting these heavy weights and it continues to get heavier every day, people become numb to it. And so they go into a mental shock. What we do, and as far as the body, when they get in heavy levels of pain or to where they're not able to take it, your body goes into shock and lowers your blood pressure. So obviously your blood won't make you sick by the pressure going up too much. So what I want to say is this: our body is always going to plan for us a way to get out. But what we got to do is we got to think about what stresses we're going through every day. That way we can automatically know how to alleviate ourselves of the stress and to know what the stresses are. Because again, when you get on the weights, you're in fight or flight, because the only reason why you don't start screaming, and then sometimes people do, and like, it's because they know they're not going to die. But if that weight was on you, you would start screaming like, get this, because you know there's a possibility you can die. But imagine if you take a person who's been in a bad area all that time, all their life, and then you put them in a good area. And then if you make them return to that same area, they almost have that same feeling like, oh man, you got to get this off of me. So now with this in mind, there's some people who never, ever get that chance. And they're always living in a constant state of confusion. With that in mind, their body is put in their mind in the shock. And we wonder why people are doing the crazy things that they do, is because they are responding under a stress that they don't even know about all the time. They're stressed, but it's like normal life for them. So so we don't maybe understand whatever their moves are. So a lot of people I know criticize Brother Polite for certain things that he may say about certain environments. Brother Polite is just telling you those environments are extremely dangerous. And in that environment, people have a tendency to do things that they would not normally do. With that in mind, if you ever want to know, just move that person away for a long, extended period of time who wanted to do good. Not the one that, if he didn't want to do good, that's who we was talking about. But move those ones away for an extended period of time. I guarantee you they will find the value of being in that area and the factorials thereof. And they will not want to go back, and they will feel whatever they were feeling before, and they will want to keep themselves away from it. They will fly instead of fight. As long as they were there the whole time, they wanted to fight. And now when they get in a good area, they want to take flight. What we have to do is realize, is our blood pressure going to go up in these areas? Are we going to do things to put us in the wrong position? Sometimes we may, but we don't want to be the ones that is self-imposing it upon ourselves, because our body will find a way to get us out of it. literally, if you injure your arm, injure your leg, and it gets cut open, if it stays open too long and you don't have some type of anything that can actually numb the pain, your blood pressure will go so high that your body goes into shock. And when it goes into shock, it lowers the blood pressure way down to stop from killing you, in hopes that you can close that wound. And if you don't close that wound, you could potentially die because your cells are not getting enough blood to those areas, right? So with this in mind, I just like, there may be a lot of questions that people may have, and Brother Polite may have some questions for me. I know this is his platform, and so I'm a more of a question answer type person. You know, I'm not as a good as orator as Brother Polite, but I'm thinking strong 100%. So I will convey to you what you need to know. So do you have any more questions for me?
What I'll do, I'll open up the chat in the live stream and we'll close out. Let's see if we can get them in here for like 20 minutes.
I promise you, we're going to give you the best answers. Today, if you ask something, have something or a question, you're going to get the best answer you possibly can get. And if we don't have the answer, guarantee you next time we'll have the answer. But you have 2 Wikipedias right here. Okay. Practically. You got Polite Strodamus and Nate Strodamus. But you have 2 Wikipedias right here.
Play that back. All right, so I'm putting the link in the chat. I know a lot of you have questions. Those of you that are live with us on YouTube, let's get it. Those of you that are live with us on YouTube, I just put the link in the chat for you all. I just put the link in the chat yet again, 3 times. When you come in, put it on mute. Put it on mute. Thanks, fam. I appreciate it. And I see we need a block party. Somebody always going crazy. All right, let's go.
That's crazy.
Let's go. So I imagine that y'all will be coming in any minute. Just put it on mute. I know it's a slight delay from what we do live. There you go. Just put it on mute. You got the links. I saw your questions in the chat. I see y'all saying Polite is ignoring me. He sees my questions. No, I want to give you opportunity to ask live. Otherwise, I would have read them. Put it on mute, family. Put it on mute.
I'll put it on mute.
All right, I'll put you on mute. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Don't worry, King. We're going to get you back. Those of you who had questions, come on now. I don't want to read off your questions. I want you to come in here and get the organic experience. Just put it on mute.
The best way.
As you come in. Let's go. Let's see. All right, we're going to deal with this brother here. I mean, I know y'all used to my evening energy. This is our afternoon energy. I know I don't normally do this, but I had to take advantage of this opportunity with the brother Nate. Okay, brother, unmute your mic. Just look for the mute button where it says microphone. It's the second image to the top. Just press that and unmute it. Brother Rev Chat, you're going to learn the system. I know you're looking for it. I can't hear you. Don't talk. Can't hear you. You can hear me. Hit that mute button. There you go. Oh, unless there's somebody else just coming in. Yeah, somebody else coming in. Come on, Rev Chat. They won't allow me to unmute it right now. You got to unmute it. Come on, brother. You can do it. Hey, what's up with this guy over here? He just fine. Yeah, get that light on. What's up, King?
What's going on, man?
What's your name?
How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, you got the hood in there. What's good?
Yeah, it was good, man. Hey, I wanted to question, man. I was just talking about it earlier, man, about death. And I was hearing them say something about that our body was never really meant to die. You feel what I'm saying? Based on...
Hold on real quick. What's your name and where you from?
Okay, my name is Gary, brother, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
There we go. All right, so let's go in. Ask the
Okay,
question
so-
again, my brother.
Okay, so the question was, well, I was hearing them say something about how the body is never really meant to die. So I was trying to get a little more understanding about that.
Okay. Was it for you or for me?
We both
For the bro-
after it. We both gonna go in. What I would say is this: there's a misunderstanding about cancer, right? And
right,
what people don't realize is cancer is inevitable. In order for you to die, you have to have cancer, right? So everyone gets cancer. They just don't tell you this. It's a part of the death cycle, right?
right,
Now, and I'm talking death in its conventional form because this is actually death in contrast to what transpires in the transition based on our ancient genetic science. Let me say that. All right. And then if a person believes in life after death, then that's a testament that this is death because life comes after. So we actually wait for anticipation to live. And that's what our ancestors discussed, that the afterlife is hereafter. All right. So one, cancer is inevitable. Therefore, death, as we conceive it, is inevitable. Two, I would like to say that your body has a biological clock. Okay? Let me just get this person real quick. Yeah, that your body has a biological clock. So that means there's a reference point for your body whereby you're set to die at a certain date. Like you have the time that you will no longer live.
Hey, it's programmed in your body. From the time that you're born, you're programmed with a certain amount of cell divisions you will have in your life, and you will die no matter what you've done and no matter how good you live. But by law of what he's saying, in another way you could say it, it's the first law of thermodynamics. It's conservation of energy. It says no energy is created or destroyed, only transferred. So whereas you may feel that there's a death, and the death that's happening that we can see, life is being formulated. If you ever read, or if you ever heard of a guy named Chris Langan, he's a guy who's a bodyguard.
Okay, doctor.
So I'm going to say that first. But he's a guy who's a bodyguard that has a 200 IQ. And what Chris Langan said was this, kind of like what Polite was saying. He said, when people conceive of an afterlife, the conception of the afterlife is only because they thought of it. So if they thought that nothing was going to come about it or come about in the afterlife, they would have that. And everyone who wills themselves to another life will go to another existence. And he has his own theorems about that based upon a lot of the technology from
There
writers.
we go.
So I don't want to say only we die as far as our birth to the end, like only from the amount of subdivisions we're given. But truly, I would say if a person were thinking about death, I would tell them what you need to do in that I guess in light of that is understand how long that your parents have lived before you, attempt to extend that time, and then cut all your deadlines in half. And what do I mean? Because if you want to extend your life, what you have to do is whatever you plan for in your life, take half the time to do it. And if you wanted to live 160 years, all you had to do to live 160 years in 80 was whatever you were planning on doing in 1 year, cut the deadline to 6 months. If you were thinking you were going to do it in 6 months, cut the deadline to 3 months. And me and Polite live this way all the time. We're not really, we may wake up in the morning with an idea, and we may fully pursue that idea. And in that time, the faster you can get to different ideas that you love, the faster you would live more life. Because some people live to be 80 and they've only lived 25 years. Some people get to 80 and they live like 330 years. And you're wondering, how did this person become so wise? It's because they chose to do that. So it's inevitable that you will get older, but you don't have to get old. Anytime that you're thinking of things that are greater than yourself and moving to places you want, you're transmuting that into your own DNA and own genetics to where your children, when they come out, they will almost understand everything that you have said. And in that way, you don't die because part of you went with them. And not only that, you could potentially say that's going to be passed to every child after. Like Polite likes to say, the doctor only asks you about your parents having disease once you come in with a disease. But you may not have the disease like your parents, or you may have it and they didn't have it. But once you have it, they're going to be asking every child after, is there anybody in the history of your family that's had this? And they're going to give credit to passing those, and I like to say even more than the disease itself, passing the habits that the person got to create the disease in their body, which would probably be more beneficial to work with, because disease is only 14% genetic. The rest of it is environmental. By every nutrition book that we got, it says that disease is only 14% genetic and then 84% environmental, and what that person will do with the environment. Is that a good answer?
Yes, sir. And what I will also say,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Also understand that not only does your body have a barometer. Let's see if we put that on mute real quick. Hold on. Not only does your body have a barometer for how long you will live, then Earth, in respect to its position from the sun, also determines as long as you will live. So your duration, I mean, it's in the Bible. And you know, people go, yo, this is deep. God said that, but it's clear that the ancestors had knowledge of astronomy, right? Very clear. And they obviously understood latitude and longitude lines based on the way they built their real estate or pyramids, as it was on the northern tropic or the Tropic of Cancer, 32-degree line of latitude, right? And we see many pyramidal structures on that same line in the alignment of the Milky Way and the Nile and the Sphinx, as well as it being aligned with the Leo constellation, and then the pyramids at Giza, Khufu, Cafe, and Menkaure Are being aligned with the Belt of Orion, Anitak, Anilam, and Mentaka. We understand that they knew astronomy. Having said that, we know that they would know that the consensus is the human body can only live, for the most part, at 120 years. That's as far as it's going to go. We lived on Venus, and it was possible for us to live on Venus. We would only be able to live as long as 72 years. This is determined based on your distance from the sun. So there's a planetary barometer, and then there's a biological barometer.
Absolutely.
Right? But this, again, is about our conception of what death is, right? So we talking about the physical body, then yes, we can give you a death estimate. If we're talking about consciousness, then I would tell you in that respect, many of us will not die. I'm not gonna say all of us.
Again, willing yourself.
Exactly. So, and of course we live through vicariously through our posterity. So all of that is in there. Let's see if we can pull in.
Like, I would like to just say this. If you ever think about it, if you can imagine that this is the sun and you're going around the sun like this, if the sun really stayed in the same place, by the time you got back around, you would be 6 months old. And then when you got right back, you would be 0 again. That's the way this thing works. 6 months, 0. But the positioning of the sun moving and coming around in the distance from where you were, from when the sun moved the first time, is what gave you your age. So it's like this. So the sun is moving and we're doing this. So something has to be creating the ovals. And as the sun moves, when we do this, we may be in the same position relative to the sun, but since the sun moved, the distance between there and there is what actually gave us our age.
That's a fact. That's an absolute fact. So, brother, let us get a hold of some of the other people that's in this chat before we close out. Thank you for your question. Really appreciate it, my brother. Okay, Massachusetts wants me. Let's get this brother who's been waiting patiently. Come on, Rev Chap. I see you unmuted it before. Can you unmute it again? Let's see if we can get you unmuted again now. You know how to do it now, brother? You did it last time. You had it unmuted while I was talking. I didn't want the sound. Dude. Come on, Rev Chap. Let's make it happen. Okay, we're gonna give you some time again. Figure it out. I can't unmute it. You gotta unmute it from your side. If it unmutes again, I'll just give you the pass so you can just start speaking. Let's get this person here. Peace. Take a look at the screen. Unmute your mic. What's your name? Where you from? Unmute your mic. Kyrie? Yes. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
We good?
Peace. Yes, we can. We get you. What's your name? Where you from?
Kyrie Randall, straight out of Sacramento, California. I'm a big
Wow.
fan.
What's up, man? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, but I'm trying to feel better, you know, with this new knowledge that I'm gaining from y'all. I definitely appreciate this right now.
Awesome, awesome.
No doubt, no doubt.
I watch your live stream.
Let's make it happen, man. I'm glad you joined us this afternoon for this early stream.
Absolutely.
Me too. It wasn't expected, but I seen it. I was like, okay, let me hop on this.
No doubt.
My question though,
Go ahead, brother.
as far as disease, for people that have different body types, you know, skinny people versus fat, or overweight people, you know, bigger people, does the disease affect you differently? Does it does it take longer to spread with some people? Does it spread quicker with other people? Just in a general sense, how does that work?
You want me to take this one?
Yeah, we're gonna review that. I just wanted to read one of these comments that's in the chat. It says, polite. This is from TDC Network. It says, polite, you marked for death by God. You shot up the Bible, bro. Well, I'm okay with that because a lot of people are marked for death that got cancer, which I don't have, that have diabetes, which I don't have, that have cell, which I don't have. So apparently God put a lot of people on that death list before I got there. So I'm not saying this to demean people who have diseases because they can alleviate those diseases. What I'm saying is for the religious zealots that's out there saying that God will take his time out to deal with little old me, what about the slave masters that castrated us, that double castrated us?
That's true.
Okay, what about Sean Bell's murderer? All right, what about Mike Brown's murderer? Okay, why would God say, oh no, we bypassed Sean Bell, Mike Brown, Freddie Gray, bypass them, get Brother Polite, Negro from Brownsville shot the Bible. He's marked for death. God spoke to you personally and told you I was marked for death. You know what's going to wind up happening? You're going to grow frustrated and you're going to try to put it into your own hands and you'll fuck around and lose your life en route to get to me. Because that's how this thing works on planet Earth. I don't understand how religious people get a communication from God that I'm marked for death, but don't get a communication from God how to get out of poverty. It's very weird. It's very weird. And I'm going to continue to antagonize you sick bastards because I'm going to prove to you your God don't exist. Every day I tell your God to kiss my ass. Your God is a fucking fraud. So is your Jesus. Your Jesus is a fraud. He's the biggest fraud in the black fucking community. He won't even tell you when he's going to come. You hear that? Your Jesus is a bitch. Your Jesus allows his people to get raped, castrated, and subject to police brutality, and that nigga still did not arrive. And y'all still waiting for him to come save us. After 400 years, you know what happened? Your God was watching us be mutilated, raped, robbed, and pillaged for 400 years and did nothing to intercede and say, all right, lighten up, enough is enough. And after we came out of those 400 plus years, your God then allowed us to be assassinated, leader after leader. And after that happened, your God now has us subject to police brutality over and over and over again. So I'm in good hands so long as we dealing with your God. Because if your God ain't kill the cracker for killing us, your God ain't gonna kill me for shooting no Bible. I'm in good hands. I'm in very good hands. So again, I'm leaving him in the chat because I actually like those stupid comments because people get a chance to see what we're dealing with. Because here it is, we had a wealth of information at our disposal, this whole class. And the only thing that registered in this idiot's head was to tell me that God communicated through him that I was going to die. No shit, Sherlock. The last question, if you listen to it, we all came to the conclusion we all was going to die. if we all come to the conclusion, okay, your God has nothing to do with that. This is something that is inevitable. Inevitable. So I say this, not to digress, but we was talking about happiness and dis-ease. And clearly, my happiness is making people dis-eased. My happiness is making people uncomfortable. You know why? Because they read their holy books day in and day out. They read. They kiss God's ass over and over. Polite don't believe in that shit, and I'm living better than all of them. Imagine how that feels. If you kiss God's ass every day, and this is not Nate's opinions of you, so those of you that's following Nate, this is Brother Polite. Okay? The following views and expressions are not Nate Daniel Dilworth.
Brother Polite, I got a question.
I'm coming, King. I'm glad you finally got that mic going. I'm not even going to turn it off.
Thank you.
And we got to address our young brother's question first. But you know,
okay, go ahead.
I haven't gone into one of these tangents in a long time. And this is what makes this thing so very exciting. The views goes up. I'm turned up. I'm lit. And now I got to have a religious debate. I'm going to put one on for this week so we can tear ass again. Because I was trying to leave them alone. But every time they wish death on me, these religious people, I get empowered. You know why? Because I say it's my responsibility to stay alive longer.
Fact.
Just because they wish me death. Like, that's the way I think. When they be like, yo, what if his wives leave him? Or, you know, you'll say nothing when that white man come and take your house. You know what it does? It makes me move into this new home. They motivate me. Whenever they wish hell for me, I create a heaven for myself. In fact, I can't even think good people enough. Because to tell you the truth, my greatest motivation in life comes from people that wish me hell. Comes from people that wish me enmity and hatred.
Can I say this? This is one thing I always tell Polite. When me and Polite are talking, I always tell him, this brother has a great love for his people. And
he does.
I always say, notice I'm saying his followers. I'm not talking about everybody else.
That's right.
Because Polite, if y'all don't know, have followers of all genres. Y'all may not know it.
All races too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So with that in mind, he has love for his followers, and sometimes even on the outside enough to chastise the people who say that, so one day they could possibly come to an understanding of what he's saying. You know, so I tell him he has much love, because I wouldn't be extending my love to people who hate on me. The fact that someone talks to you even like this right now means that they love you, because they wouldn't really talk to you if they didn't love you at all. They just do like Nicki Minaj, not say nothing to you, and drop a #1 and #3 and #5 album. That's what #1, #3, and #5 song. But anyway, hey brother.
Yeah, so we're gonna get back to the brother, but I want y'all to understand that was calculated. And what I mean by it's calculated is the fact that that's the disease we're talking about. All of you have been online this whole time. I've left, you know me, I leave the trolls in there. Y'all be telling me kick them out. I like to leave them in there because I like you to see how we stay focused. You've seen stream after stream after stream. I teach adverse possession. I taught on foreclosure remedy. I taught on body mass index. Okay, I've been teaching on so many different subject matters throughout the course of the week. And you haven't heard me take any time off to address any trolls. You heard it. Don't you know? They still keep coming. So what does that tell us? And I'm going to guarantee y'all this. Most of these people are not even agents. And that's the disease part of it. Because you're not even getting paid to be a distraction. You're doing this of your own free will and accord. That in itself tells me about the pathologies that exist within the confines of that person's anatomy that ultimately affects their mind. And so the only reason I'm doing this now, because I know they're so sick that just you agreeing with me and him agreeing with me drives them even more crazy. I know that they're so sick that now I'm about to post another picture of me and my ghost. I know that they're so sick, I'm about to post us courtside tomorrow at the Clippers game. Let's just go to the Clippers game tomorrow.
You don't have to do that.
And let's piss them off more, because this is my cure for that type of hatred. To shove success in their goddamn face until they throw it up, till they got nothing else left to throw up. Because sometimes one of the best ways to remedy a situation is to throw up. Sometimes your body forces you to throw shit up. You feel me? So what I do, people think I'm showing off. I'm like, no, I'm not showing off for you guys. You guys are perfect. I only show off for people that are upset, people that don't like to see Black greatness or any form of material success. I do this for the people who are angry because they're sick. If cancer could talk, it would have wished me death. If diabetes can talk, it would troll me. This is how AIDS sounds, vicariously through people. People normally are not this fucking incorrigible. People are not like this. They're not even human beings. They have been taken over. The parasites are using their body as a host, and they're channeling this disease through their vocality.
100.
I am telling you, this is so true.
What they're eating is making them do this.
You believe in God, and rather than you propagate or evangelize elsewhere, you come on a platform where I have no space for that garbage. You see, I've been respectful the whole time, but now I have to tell you it's garbage. You know why I can say it's garbage? Because I am a father before I'm anything else. I'm a Black man before I was anything else. I'm a son. I'm a brother, meaning a sibling, but you don't care. You would want to separate me from those people who I have those relationships with. Why? Because I shot a Bible. Why not pray for me and hope that I no longer am sick? Why not pray for me? But you know what religious people do when you have more influence than they have? They don't pray for you. They wish you death. They pray for everyone else that's in a lesser position than them. But when someone's in a higher position than them, then they wish them death. On with the big shit. Oh man, this brother don't got nothing for me. Let's send a prayer to Brother Clarence, who has high blood pressure. That's what they say. Let's send a prayer to Sister Mary, okay, who has diabetes. But when Brother Polite lived in Beverly Hills, oh no, God told me to tell you, oh, you dead. We wish you dead.
Now, check this out, guys. You know, I think that so many people, they take so much of an angle one way, they're not able to figure out how the two correlate. Brother Polite will tell you himself, spirituality and scientific information go hand in hand.
Let me tell you
so here's the deal. If you ever catch people that's in an area that's just telling you a bunch of spiritual knowledge, you know what makes them successful? When they bring the scientists in their church. Because if they motivated the people to do something and there was 20% scientists, I don't want to just say church, but whoever's doing spiritual stuff, they motivated 20 people or 20% of the group to do well. Well, if that 20% went and used science because they felt motivated from the spirituality, then they would use them as an example of how the spirits have helped them do whatever they've done. So with this in mind,
watch this, and I'm gonna get off of this. So watch this. He says, you don't believe in God, so why would I pray for you? So let's use this logic. God saved me and let me know who he was. I didn't know God initially. He put me on. I got indoctrinated. Now I know God. Now you're telling me you can only pray for people that already believe like you believe. Then what the fuck is the sense of having a religion? The whole reason you have the religion is so you can convert people over to the ways of the law, statutes, and commandments of power. How the hell are you saying that you can only communicate? How are you saying you only can pray for somebody that believes in God? So that's one. He's clearly an Indian. Now listen to the next one. Like, stop dividing our people. You have Black Christians, Black Muslims. Stop tearing our religions at the end of the day. You want unity like Marcus Garvey said. Was Marcus Garvey not a Christian? No, Marcus Garvey was not a Christian. Marcus Garvey was a Catholic. Okay? And our leaders, according to their doctrines, don't believe we should be united. Because if you read the Quran, the same Quran Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad reads, the same Quran Minister Farrakhan reads, the same Quran that Commandments 13 next the Father Allah reads, it says in that Quran, don't trust the Christians and the Jews. Right or wrong? It says don't trust the Christians or Jews. I didn't start the division. I did not start the division. Stop tearing up the religions. I can't tear up the religions. God wouldn't make me more powerful than his religion. How am I able to tear up religion? God is way more powerful than me. I can never stop his word from being spread on these four corners. Not little old light. that God already is going to kill. Because I'm going to tell you, if I live to be 121 years old, when I die, they'll say God killed me. That's how stupid these people are.
Right.
I told you, he got him. That nigga could win one more year. So what I'm saying is this. I love you religious people. This is not your show today. But you made an amazing case study. Y'all made an amazing case study. The religious pathology that exists.
We just here to teach health, man.
Because at the end of the day,
I just got a quick question, man. I just want to answer one question, man. Ask one question.
Truly was inspired by a divine force that suggests that you advance yourself spiritually, mentally, and all other ways. What you would do with someone like me would be either to pray for me or to ask God. If you feel it's so important for me to die, you will feel it's that much more important to have me inspired so I wouldn't lead everyone else astray. So for the brother that asked me to stop tearing up religion and we don't need no divisions, ask religion to stop dividing us as a people, because it was dividing us before I was even alive. Again, your Quran says don't trust Christians, don't trust Jews. So that means any black Muslim wasn't supposed to trust Marcus Garvey. Your Quran, the Negro that said he can't pray for me because he don't pray for Hamites, which means Africans, because he's a Hebrew Israelite. That Hebrew Israelite, my brother, who's saying that I'm causing division by tearing up the religions were already torn apart from the time of their creation. According to the Hebrew Israelite that just wished me death, God communicated with him that he's going to kill me. That Hebrew Israelite said he couldn't pray for me anyway because I'm African. Okay? So Marcus Garvey was Pan-African. So now he got two groups of Negroes against him. He got Muslims against him that don't trust Christians and Jews, and he got Hebrews against him that don't deal with Africans. I didn't create the dissension. So don't tell me about no Marcus Garvey and unity of black people when the damn religious people you supporting that you want to be united, their doctrines say leave Marcus Garvey alone because he deals with Africans, and leave him alone because he is under the auspice of one of those Catholic sects, namely Christianity and all the other things that fall under Catholicism. So I just came here to tell you today, I saw that as a great educational opportunity. No, I am too happy to wish death. I love people. I may not love you, Jesus, and I may not love you, God. And the only reason, I'm going to say it clearly, I don't have no love for Jesus. The only reason I have no love for God is because they sat on their fucking ass and watched us be manipulated, murdered, raped, castrated, robbed, and pillaged for hundreds of years unannounced. And it says Jesus is going to come like a thief in the night. And if Jesus does come like a thief in the night, who's to say he didn't already come? Because a good thief is coming in and leave and nobody know he even came. That motherfucker probably came already and said, yo, this white man be on his bully. I'm getting the fuck out of here before he fucking kill me again. I already survived one death and resurrected, nigga. You see the stigmata? I ain't about to do it this time. These niggas got guns this time. Last time they used nails. You feel what I'm saying? So listen, and that whole story's stupid because look at the type of trees that exist in that geographical locale. What the hell could you have nailed him from? Did they order these fucking trees from Europe or something? When did they get the trees to nail a black man who had to have been over 6'5", according to your Bible's description? He would have been over 170 pounds and over 6 feet 5 inches. And if they was able to suspend a man that tall and that heavy on some slabs of wood that didn't exist in that area, you know, his diaphragm would have fell the fuck out.
Wow.
His diaphragm would have fell out. But you see, you don't want to deal with science. And before his diaphragm fell out, he probably would have just fell from hanging off his damn hands. But you see, you don't want to deal with that. And what happened to Noah's Ark and get two of every animal? So you mean to tell me white folks is way more smarter than your God? Because they could just take the DNA. If they want to save swine, the same swine we're not supposed to eat, mind you, but we're going to save 2 of each pig and then condemn you when you eat it. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Why God couldn't just take DNA samples, put them shits in tubes so you don't need a boat the size of New York City, Why he couldn't do that? Why he got to save 2 of every animal? And why we can't find a piece of bark from that boat? You know what religious people do? They find pieces of potato that look like Jesus and pass out and say, yo, this is when I decided to become a pastor. They find pieces of bread shaped like whatever the fuck they think is shaped like, and that's their calling into religion. Let me explain something to you all. This is the sickness that I'm talking about. Black people have nothing to do with any of these religions. And if I ask them, when was you introduced to the Bible? Was it during slavery? For you to say you love God is for you to say slavery is the best thing that has happened to you, because there was never no damn Bible before you got into slavery. Show me one indigenous culture that got a manuscript in the same order that you got this Bible. And you don't give a damn that the King James Version has 66 books and the Roman Catholic has 72 books, and that between the 2 of them, they still missing well over 50 books that the Vatican said we don't want in there. Why do you feel so secure reading an incomplete book? Do you give a damn when you find out the truth that you're missing over 50 books? The Book of Jasper, the Book of Wars. Do you give a damn that you are reading an incomplete book and you're living your life after it? You know what the insanity is? You just accept you got your 66 books. And brothers, I ask you again, if you know you're missing over 50 books that your Bible mentions, except for the word Bible. The only word you don't find in the Bible is the word Bible. You can't find the word Bible in the word Bible, but you can find the name of the books that's not in the Bible. And you got over 50 books missing, and you live your life by that small ass book that's missing several other books. And do you care that the Vatican, that's responsible for putting you in slavery by way of the Pope, decided to take those books out? Do you give a damn that you live your life by this incomplete book? No, you don't. You don't care. But you wish death on your own brother for an incomplete manuscript. Who knows, if you would have turned the next page that they took out, it might have said, Brother Polite is your Messiah. But you wouldn't know that, would you? Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Hey, and don't get mad at him. He's not saying he's a Messiah. He's saying if in one of those, you don't know whether.
I am saying I am the Messiah of every damn hater out there, because they call on me. Hey, you ask for this, haters. You ask me to do this, and then you get mad. You love me like this. I wasn't doing this for a whole month.
What, man?
I didn't do this for a whole month.
Yeah.
You want me to be like this. And you know what? I like it, but I say, you know what? I don't want people thinking because they be thinking devil and everything. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna lighten up on my brothers and sisters, because I do love my brothers and sisters. So I ain't gonna mess with y'all no more. I mind my business. But death, I get the death thing all the time, every stream. Every stream, someone telling me I'm gonna die. I ignored it every stream. Pardon me, family. Today, is we dealing with dis-ease. I have to address it because that's a disease. Telling people they're going to die because God told you. God telling me someone else going to die. Why don't God tell you more about your own damn business? Why God telling you my business? Mind your fucking business. If God telling you I'm going to die, ask that nigga, okay, now that you decoded Brother Polite and he's going to die, when is this white man going to die for all the shit he's doing to black people? See, they ain't never got that answer. They ain't never got the answer when Whitey going to die for the shit he's doing for us. You only know when niggas gonna die, apparently. Your God's a fucking cracker. He's a racist cracker. That's what he is. He's a white supremacist. That's what your God is, because he only knows when niggas gonna die. He'll never give you a prophecy of George Zimmerman's death. He don't give you no prophecy. He'll give you the Mike Brown prophecy of his murder. Shot him in his fucking head, on his knees, in the name of he stole a cigar. He don't give a damn about our people. A little 12, 13-year-old boy shot in his torso in Ohio.
Tamir Rice. There
ain't no damn prophecy when the murderers of our people gonna die. But everybody know when the fuck I'm gonna die, and when I'm gonna lose my house, and when I'm gonna
right here in Cleveland,
when I'm gonna lose my children. Everybody got a damn prophecy of when that's gonna happen. And you pray on my demise. And I can take it, but you can't take it back when I shoot your book. But you know why I shot your damn book? To show people how sick you Negroes are. Because you Negroes will kill a black man for shooting a book, but but you won't kill no one for shooting your people.
Mm.
You won't tell us who's going to die because they shot your people. But you going around, yo, you know, life dead now. Oh, my God. You done shot the Bible. What about the people who shot your people? If I deserve to be killed because I shot a book, what does the murderer, the senseless and reckless murderer of our
facts, man.
Come on, man. And you still this Hamite shit. Oh, you know, you're a Hamite. You African, so, you know, I can't pray. You're really proud of sounding stupid. You're really proud of sounding stupid. I ain't never met people like this. It's like you get into the religion and now your pride is this. Yo, who wore spikes? Who wore plastic spikes back in the ancient Hebrew days? Who the fuck was wearing those door knockers? Some niggas look like they could take that door knocker off and lift it up and the vortex will open up and they could jump. Who the hell was wearing door knockers on their chest? You're supposed to wear door knockers on your ears, not on your damn chest. I be seeing these niggas, I don't know whether to fight or knock and ask who the fuck is. I don't know what to do. Do I knock or do I fight? I don't know what to do with these damn Hebrews. I'm asking.
My nigga polite as sick, man. I swear to God.
Where in that Bible? Where in the Bible does it say you Negroes supposed to be dressing in Timbs and fucking bug infested sheets?
Oh God.
Plastic spikes on your wrist. Where in the Bible did you get the description for them damn garments you wearing outside the streets? Okay? And do you know that every year these brothers celebrate the murder?
Oh God.
They celebrate the murder of Africans every year?
Oh shit.
And if an African shows up at the cookout looking just like them, a little child, they're not gonna feed them? Do you know this? Do you know that my brother Tazaria thinks 200 million people are going to come out the sky in the name of Christ and destroy the white man? But God can't. God is going to kill little old me for shooting the book. But he needs to back up Jesus with 200 million niggas who going to come out the sky. 200 million. Where the hell in your Bible does it says 200 million black people going to come out the sky gang banging in the name of Jesus to destroy this white man? You see, when you got black men actually saying 200 million men are going to come out the sky and overthrow this white man, you know what it does? It makes them complacent. Why the hell would I?
It makes us weak.
Why would I fight oppression if I believe
make us weak, man?
100 million people coming out the sky to back me up? Why would I even want
to make us weak?
Why would I want to learn politics? Why would I want to learn economics? Why would I learn anything about technology so I can create weapons to protect myself?
Yeah.
Why would that even matter? My nigga, 200 million people coming out the sky. Job done. I ain't got to fight nobody. You see how that works? Y'all don't want this. Why y'all wake up this sleeping giant? I'm looking to mind my business. I don't want to deal with this chaos. I've established you people are nuts that believe in that crap. It's garbage. And you know why I can say that? Because every day I ain't get struck by lightning yet. You know, every day I ask God to strike me by lightning. I ask him every day, please strike me with lightning and prove me wrong so I can become a believer. Oh, you shouldn't mock God. Yes, I should, because I'm trying to show you he ain't gonna strike me with lightning. He gonna make my life better than your fucking life every single day. I guaranteed it. It's better than yours. My life is better than yours, you sick bastards. I guaranteed it. Guaranteed it. You keep wishing hate on me, and I keep making sure I become more and more successful exponentially because I told my family. And they're like, yo, Polite, you're going to piss these people off. That's what I got to do. You know why? I told my family I'm going to become so successful that I'm going to relieve the chains of religion off my people's minds. I'm going to disbelieve so fucking hard and become so successful at the same time that I'm going to wake people up. That's my goal. My goal is to mock God as much as I can and be extremely successful while doing it without doing anything debaucherous, without doing any bloodshedding and Illuminati sacrifices and all this make-believe bullshit people believe in. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. But I'm going to show you that, you know what? A black man can be successful because of his own intelligence, his own intuition, and his own zeal to study. And Marcus Garvey was religious. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was religious. Dr. King was religious.
Geniuses.
We love all of them. They was different religions. We love all of them. We love all of them. but they all had different religions. So does that tell us God is schizophrenic, or does it tell us give credit to those men?
They were geniuses.
They find inspiration through writings. Don't tell me they was only inspired by their Bible or Quran. They was inspired by the 2nd grade and 1st grade teacher that taught them how to read. They was inspired by the teachers that taught them how to write. As they learn something, they use it to advance themselves. You want to pick the one thing out of all other things that they came across to be edified. All those brothers believed in different gods, and all those brothers was brilliant. So it tells me they were brilliant. It tells me black people have the potential, and we give the credit of their potential to everything else, and that's the slave master's plot. Because if you ever wake up to realize that you are actually brilliant, you will change the world overnight. If you ever woke up and gave yourself any damn credit, no, Jesus woke me up. It was, oh man, God, he woke me up. He get me out of bed every night. You know what I'm saying? My wife woke me up. I said she woke me up. She wanted me to get her something to drink. If Jesus woke you up, my wife woke me up. I'm living better than you. Your life ain't shit. Let's compete. Let's compete. Because before I become a fucking failure, before you religious zealots, I'm dying a fucking success. I'm going to prove to y'all this white man lied to me. I'm going to prove it. He's a liar. His race is a damn lie. His religion is a lie. His doctrine is a lie. And it make you hate your own people when they're doing better than you. Rather than celebrate their greatness, celebrate their genius. I'm reading in the chat. I'm seeing the crazy shade you casting this brother with, but you won't even come and show your face. I'll leave it open for y'all. Show your face and ask these questions and show the world how stupid you really are. Don't tell me this shit because you got melanin and you brilliant. With all the dumb shit I see written in them comments. Basic. Some of us just are not that intelligent.
Brother polite.
That just because you black, you smart, you brilliant, stop that shit. Long time ago, I just realized. That's why I said, hey, I got some white authors that's pretty dope too. You ain't gonna entrap me
Brother polite.
With great shit all the fucking time when we bullshit.
Brother polite.
Go ahead, King.
I just wanted to know, man, is it true due to our DNA that everybody cannot stop eating meat? Is that true?
Brother, I'll tell you this. Due to us being massively raped, we're going to have to take all them tests Brother Nate was telling us about because
right.
There's something called gene food consistency. Okay? Gene food consistency. When you take an animal, which were animals, all of us, part of the animal kingdom, like it or fucking not. I gotta lay this shit down now the right way for people, because people be in their feeling, no, I am man, I'm melanated, I'm not an animal. But it's okay when the white man tells you, oh, you're in that animal kingdom. Everybody understands. Well, the life says, no, you live in Beverly Hills, so you're never gonna be able to say anything about us anymore. You don't got the right to criticize unless you live in the slums. So stop this shit. We're part of the animal kingdom. Facts. If there's any doubt, just look at your limbic system. You'll see that's your monkey brain, animal brain. Facts. Also part reptilian. Just look at your brainstem. Reptilian brain.
Taurine brain, yeah.
Facts. Same cells as reptilians, just larger. More blended. So anyway, there's a multitude of different brains that you got. Each one showing a connectivity to your part of an ancient ecology. Gene food consistency demands we know this. And we're going to come back to you, young brother. Gene food consistency demands we know this. Listen to this carefully. If a tree grows super high, chances are the food that tree yields is not for you. The way nature works, if you had to create technology in order to get it, it probably don't belong to you anyway. Nature wouldn't create a thing out of your range in order that you may need it. Nature wouldn't create your food in Europe, knowing you live South Asia, knowing you live South Africa. Nature just doesn't work that way.
Facts.
When you're a part of a system, you urinate in that ground, you defecate in that ground, and nature makes an assessment of what you put into the earth. And it yields you that which will cater to your specific interests and needs in the form of your disease and for your future advancement. When you take those entities out of that environment, you throw off the ecology because now certain plants will not grow in certain animals that needed those plants that grew only on account of you being part of that ecology can no longer exist. And you create a form of randomism. Gonna be temporary, but temporary can last years. We're still living in a temporary moment.
Right.
Okay? Temporary as far as maybe 1,000 years. So what's gonna happen is there's a domino effect when you have people saying this is game. Let's hunt and kill these animals and take them out of existence prematurely, not even with any consideration to what they contribute to the ecology. Ants are important. They burrow through the ground, create holes for this ventilation for the plants. Birds are important because they help with the germination process as they make it travel from one place to the next. The mountains, the dunes, the valleys, the plateaus, and the trees are important because it's what the birds use to be able to travel as they help in the germination process because they don't see with their eyes. They feed off of electromagnetic pulses. So it moves around the curvatures of the landmass, and that's how they're able to know where to go without even seeing. Okay, the jellyfish doesn't even have a brain, but it's alive. But if the jellyfish didn't exist, we wouldn't be able to eat anything out of the sea, whether it be fish, crustaceans, seaweed, because the jellyfish consumes microorganisms that make life for us too dangerous to consume if they didn't live in the sea. So the jellyfish with no brain is alive, contributing to us. You feel me? So we can, and the bees, their navigational systems have been compromised by way of colony collapse disorder, but the bees accommodate for 10% of the oxygen we breathe. And if they were serious about curing things like AIDS or HIV, they used the venom from the bees to alleviate those diseases. They know that. So now they got the bees' navigational systems thrown off because all of the Wi-Fi signals and all the other debaucherous shit that they create to throw them off. So now their lack of pollination and their inability to find their way back to their hives is compromising the integrity of our ability to take in oxygen, which compromises the integrity of the tree's ability to live based on what we respire. And as we pollute the oceans and contaminate it and throw off the jellyfish, the food winds up being higher in mercury for the entities that make it more abundant based on the entities that used to exist that would consume some of it. It's a domino effect. When you take even one thing out of a system, you throw off the ecology of the whole damn system. And then that system now, in order to subside its issues, it now has to be parasite off of neighboring ecologies. Now those entities have to move from where they at and start being parasites of another ecological system. And now new accommodations have to be made. Plants wasn't meant to cross-pollinate. If they was, they would have legs. If plants were supposed to be cross-pollinated, they would be able to walk to the next plant and have sex. Facts. So the birth of this hybridized paradigm and taking in foods that would have never existed and taking in these orange carrots. What the hell is an orange carrot? An orange carrot is a mutation. It is a sick version of the purple carrot. Ain't no damn orange carrot. Let's be for real. But if I gave you a purple carrot, you say that shit looks poisonous. But the truth be told, the orange carrot is a defect, but because the Dutch like the color of mutated and poisonous carrots, they say, we making these abundant. Orange is way more immaculate than purple. That's what they do. So to answer your question, my brother, we have to deal with gene food consistency, understand the collapse of an ecological system, and come to terms with the realization that between the miscegenation, the forced miscegenation, the forced rape, between the forced miscegenation and us being taken out of our ecological system, not taking in the foods and the herbs that correspond with our environment, nor even the different levels of UV based on where we come from or based where our genetic base is. The pheomelanin, the eumelanin, all of this is very important. Some of us will function a whole lot better if we're put back where we belong. Now we got to do a topology. That's a whole nother equation. So no, at this moment, none of us could just simply say, hey, I'm black and this caters to me specifically. You got to do some exams. You need to get a DNA test.
Yeah, 100%. You
feel what I'm saying? You didn't even have to do a DNA test because we've been so mixed up. You have implications bestowed upon you, thankfully enough, because of your previous slave masters, who don't even have the decency to at least say by default, everyone gets a passport. Less than 10% of Americans have a passport. Less than 5% black people have a passport. No intention to leave, but say they hate America. They buy cars, they buy clothes, they buy jewelry, they buy music, they buy nice TVs. They won't buy a passport, but they'll tell you, America, KKK, we hate America, with no ambition or intent to just leave the country. The number one reason you should leave the country, number one, is to see how your body responds to a new environment. I'm not telling you to do this at random. Get a DNA test. Go to the part of the world where your DNA says you're from. Eat that food, drink that drink, consume that herb, and get that sun. And I guarantee you, you'll lucidly dream, listen to their music, submerge yourself in that culture. I don't care if it's only 2-3 days. When I went to Nigeria, I touched base immediately with my ancestors. That ain't something y'all gotta believe. You can live your life. It doesn't pay your bills. Don't bother me or antagonize me about it. I'm just telling you, after I had some Obono and Mberika, I got their son, I listened to the music, I start studying Igbo, their language. I'm like, yo, this shit crazy. And you know what? To walk around and see a bunch of people that I look like, I'm like, what the fuck? I done flew how much miles away? Thousands of miles away to wind up somewhere to see a whole community of people that I look like I fit in with. But I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and so were my parents, who come from Panamanian and Bajan backgrounds. Nothing says Nigeria in the whole equation. But my DNA says 75% Nigeria. I go over there, and I'm like, damn. I'm looking at my father, seeing pictures of my mother. I'm looking at my sister. And I'm saying, damn, maybe it's a switch in the hospital. Now, we do look alike. But shit, to see a tribe of people
that look
exactly like you, that's some scary stuff when you travel so many miles away. And then when I eat the food, drink the drinks, listen to the music, learn the language, get the sun, I never felt more comfortable than I ever felt my whole life. And then to go to Egypt, because to understand the Nigerian inhabitants that was indigenous to the land, that's indigenous to the land, migrated to Egypt. Sorry for those of you that was on Facebook, it's now a wrap. I know y'all can hear me. Went further than I wanted to go. But that was great because we got some good data. I left that stuff alone because I'm very passionate about it. Sometimes people misconstrue my passion for me being a wicked devil. And so I don't want to stress people out like that and be a wicked devil to them. So I just do my best to give them something alternative that we also need. But I realize every now and then we have to address not necessarily the fallacy of religions. We don't have to criticize them. The approach of the people that make subscriptions to the religion when it comes to people who don't believe in their religion, it's unhealthy. It's weird. What do you expect of people who don't believe? You can't go around telling people who don't believe what you believe. God just told me, you know what, you're gonna die. Like, you gotta do better than that. There gotta be a better way. Gotta be. Your God has to inspire you to do better for yourself. Not just go around telling people that they marked for death. There gotta be a better way. He can't mark no one for death until he gets rid of the murderers of Black people historically. Can't get rid of me. That's why I'm not worried. Before God comes see me, you got to see them. I ain't worried. Now, when I start seeing people just dropping like flies, I start praying. Like, yo, that shit I was saying was only out of anger, God. I apologize. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Go on, brother. Let me get you back to ask you a question. Oh, man, let me get you back. Unmute your mic, Kyrie. I'm going to let Nate get the show. Nate had it for the first hour and a half.
All right, I'm back.
All right, Kyrie, you see me? I'm going to answer your question. This is going to be an honest to God question. Your question was, do people respond differently to diseases based upon their body type, right?
Indubitably.
Okay, well, this is what I'm going to say. At which people experience any disease is going to be based upon their physiology. What I mean is, I'll give you a little example. Whenever you look at a muscle cell or whenever you look at a cell, cells do certain things and they intake at a certain rate, or they will intake energy. So for instance, insulin receptors. Now, if you haven't heard about this, on every cell that you have in your muscle, there's something called insulin receptors, and there's something called GLUT4 receptors. In particular, these GLUT4 receptors are more activated after you work out, and insulin receptors are for the intake of sugar. Now, with this in mind, you also have your pancreas. Your pancreas has cells that produce insulin, in particular beta cells that produce insulin. You have alpha cells in your pancreas and your beta cells, right? Now, with this in mind, I'm just going to give you an example. Instead of saying big or small, I'm just going to say physiology. Let's say you have a person who has a lot of insulin receptors, right? Now, and let's just say that their pancreas is, let's just say the beta cells don't work as well. So after a while, if a person starts to eat a bunch of sugar for a while, you can imagine if you kept working for a long time, doing the same thing, you may get tired. Your pancreas can do the same. If you've been eating too much sugar, it can be producing insulin, and then it can actually get tired and slow down. At the same time, sometimes the pancreas, depending on the person, secretes too much insulin in response to the sugar it gets. Now, keep this in mind. We have a person who has a lot of insulin receptors and the pancreas is decent, right? So now, watch this. Let's say they eat something with sugar, right? It goes in, your body converts all of the sugar to glucose. Once it becomes glucose, your pancreas secretes the amount of insulin it needs, and then it starts to take it inside the cell, depending upon how many insulin receptors they have. Now, let's just say on your cell, you have a whole bunch of insulin receptors. So your body could potentially take up more sugar in the cell than the average person. Well, if this is true, it would be very hard for you to get diabetic. There'd be other things that need to happen for you to get diabetic. You would literally have to eat yourself so much to where your pancreas get tired, and then finally the beta cells break down, and it still needs to absorb a whole bunch of sugar. And what's going to happen is your body is going to start producing high levels of ketones. So there's two different types of energy systems. One that has to do with glycolysis or sugar uptake, and one when sugar is not effective or when your body ain't able to uptake it. It's called ketoacidosis or ketoacidosis. With this in mind, that is what sends a person into that diabetic state we're talking about. Now, pancreas is tired. Body's not uptaking the sugar like it's uptaking the sugar just fine. Pancreas is tired. Now, what do some people do? Sometimes they send them to the hospital and they potentially just don't allow the pancreas to work. And when the pancreas gets better again and starts to secrete insulin again just fine, that person becomes well. But for that moment, they may have been diabetic because they were secreting a whole bunch of ketones, because ketones are the secondary source of energy your body uses when your body ain't able to use sugar. And if there's three different types of ketones, but OHB is the poisonous one. And if it's secreted at at 15 to 25 micromoles, that's when you know you're in ketoacidosis. There's something called ketosis, which can be dietary. That means you don't consume a lot of sugar, so your body converts over to using ketones, which is not the same as ketoacidosis. Literally, your pancreas is not working correctly. Now you have another version of this. Someone that just doesn't have beta cells, or they don't work. This is called diabetes number 1, or diabetes number 1. Of course, when they have the disease, there's nothing that can be done about this. So they usually end up wearing some type of insulin pump just so they can constantly keep themselves out of ketoacidosis. Now here's another one. Someone who intakes sugar that has hypoglycemia. Now here's the deal. What if just as a response, you took in sugar, and when you took in sugar, your body, in response to the sugar, secreted too much insulin? This can happen. If it does this, that person's physiology is preparing itself to have more sugar. Now, let's just say that person only has a few insulin receptors too. Well, when this happens, their body will uptake the sugar that was sent out very quickly because it secreted so much insulin in response to the body not secreting a lot at first. So let's say sugar comes, your body secretes a little insulin, then it says, oh man, this just ain't enough, and secretes a whole bunch. And then that gets pushed into the cell, and now there's so much insulin in your blood that if there's that amount of insulin, you potentially will pass out because you don't have any sugar that's there readily available. So the person eats to get their blood sugar back up, and then the pancreas secretes a lot again, and that's a different type of thing. So what I'm saying is people can arrive at diabetes at a lot of different ways because just because the way that their body is functioning at that time. Now, with this in mind, is there a key component in all of these people basically having diabetes? Yes, insulin. So when people, insulin is the problem of what's going on with each and every person, but the way that it's functioning in their body can be different. So how they arrive there may be different, even though they may be suffering from the same thing. Because anybody who says you got diabetes, the problem is your body is not secreting enough insulin, which can be one, or it can be number two, that you've eaten so much food. And here's the other scenario I was going to tell you, that when you start to, your body is uptaking sugar just fine, and it's not your pancreas, your cells begin to fight you. So the sugar can go in, your cell will secrete an enzyme to block the sugar and just send it right back out into your adipose tissue or your fat cells. And if this keeps up a while, what your body does with the insulin receptors that may be good, it says, you know what, that's too many doors. If I keep taking in this amount of sugar, I'm gonna be sick. So it dulls down the insulin receptors, right? Once there's less insulin receptors, your body can keep secreting the right amount of insulin, but since your cells don't take it in, more sugar will float around in your blood. What does your body do in response? It secretes more insulin. So what you're doing is, since the cell doesn't want to take it in, it makes the pancreas work too hard. And at the same time, you can have someone who doesn't have that good of a pancreas and have a good cell, and then the body just not able to deal with the sugar just because the insulin doesn't get there fast enough. Hopefully this answers your question. That's just dealing with diabetes. I mean, I gave you a couple of ways that it comes. Now,
yeah.
You like, maybe that there's a better answer. This is some things that people don't even know.
If there was a better answer, I wouldn't know, but that definitely sounds like a great one. I'm gonna come back later on when this video is done. I'm gonna, take down my notes. I already started notes.
Just go there and look at it. You're gonna see in physiology, the cell can block sugar. The pancreas, in particular, can secrete small amounts of insulin, or get sugar in the body and secrete a little and then a lot, because it's not efficient at it's not efficient at reading how much sugar came into your blood and secreted too much, and then you go hypoglycemic because you're like, well, what's going on? Or it could be that you're just type 1 and you're having some difficulties upon birth. Now, keep in mind, there's plenty of other diseases like that. Cancer, there's so many because there's not that many types of diabetes. So it was easy for me to tell you like that. If you go cancer, man, there's so many ways that you can arrive at cancer that it's not funny. Some people can be born with a cancer cell upon birth. This is true. Some people can develop it. But I will tell you this, all disease is maximally 14% genetic and 84% environment. So, I mean, if somebody were to say they were overweight, we could potentially say, okay, there's something that in science that says if a mother eats improperly while she's pregnant, she can actually ruin the liver of the child inside, and they will have metabolic problems for the rest of their life. You can look this up yourself. That's when the kid comes out, he's not able to handle sugar in the right way because he was already preparing himself to eat wrong just based upon what the mother was taking in. And so it's like now the body that comes out, it almost gets sick because it doesn't eat right, because this body was prepared to do something else. That mother was manipulating that child genetically in her stomach. So, or a mother can eat right. This is in my studies. They said if a mother has eaten correctly during her pregnancy, you can hand the child candy, literally, and you just keep them eating right. You can hand them a piece of Jolly Rancher, and they'll put it in their mouth, and they'll just start, because it's too much. They automatically know, now this ain't right. Let me have some of this apple sauce. Let me have some of this apple juice. Let me have some of this breast milk, stuff like that. Yeah. So, man, that's cool. You have any more questions for us?
Nah, man, that's it. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's other people with good questions like me. So I appreciate you answering my question, Brother Polite. Taking you on the journey in the past to knowledge. I appreciate you. I appreciate you too as well. And
brother,
all I got.
Man, I appreciate you staying on. Let me go into my tangent. They're gonna kick their asses.
All right, Brother Polite.
Okay, stop. All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot for joining the Iron Brother platform on YouTube. Staying in tune, and thank you for all the credit that you gave me for your transformation in your conscious path. That means a lot to me, my brother. I won't let you down. Gonna keep going stronger and stronger, man.
I'm with you, bro, and I'm always be here. Thank you. One love.
Brother, appreciate you. All right, so yeah.
What's going on, man?
Hold on. Got him. What's up with this guy right here? G2 Time. What up, King?
What's the word?
Peace. What's your name? Where you from?
My name is G2 Time. I'm from Boston, man. B-Town.
B-Town. What's good, King?
Ain't nothing, man. Just on this live stream, you know, paying attention, seeing what it is.
Where's your car at?
What'd you say?
Hey, what's up?
Where's your
What'd
car?
you say? Oh, what car? I don't speak like that. As you can see, I don't speak like that. That's only people. That's like the whiteys. That's like people that's like, if you from the hood in Boston and all that, you ain't gonna hear people in the hood speaking like that.
I just said that because I know you know what I'm talking about.
But I'm just enjoying the stream, man. I mean, I have a question, man, because I've been in the this conscious community for like the last 5 years, man. And my thing is, I don't understand. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, why is everybody so broke, man? Like, sometimes I'd be like, why can't, like, all this knowledge, and it's like we all broke, and then we speaking about the health stuff, and I thought health coordinates with wealth. So why is everyone broke? Why can't everyone make money? Why is it that we can't support each other? Why is it that like, just like you were saying, Polite, like, you know what I mean? Some of these conscious community people, like, some of them, they instead of them paying for their trips and all, they want you to pay for it. They want this and that. So it's like, it kills me. It's just like, why is it like that? Why is it a money issue is a problem when we all trying to, like, come up together? You know what I'm saying? Why can't we all just put our money together and make it happen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would
so I don't know.
I'll tell you this, man. I once told somebody one time, and then this is in my city in particular, I said, if you find and you locate basically where there's a heavy amount of churches, a lot of times in that area, you find that the city or in that part of the city is very run down. And in my particular city where I'm at, when there's a whole bunch of churches around, you would say, well, if God is the same, why is there so many churches? Because obviously the God couldn't have changed from one block to the next block. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With that in mind, if you see in rich areas, a lot of times you see when they have a church, it's one big church where they all come and they all worship together. And in particular, the church tends to have a lot more money when there's a bigger church amongst the followers. But what people will say about the leader is this. They'll say, how can their leader be making this amount of money? It's wrong for them to make that amount of money. Now, you tell me this. If Brother Polite had some type of church and he's making $3 million a year, and by you coming to that church, before you came to that church, you may have been making $30,000 a year, but you start coming to the church and just listening, and you start making $100 grand a year. Do you think it was worth for him to get paid $2 million a year?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but he worked for it, right?
Right. And let's say you went to his church, and every time you go, your net worth started going up. Do you think that it was worth to go to his church, and was it worth for him to get paid what he gets paid?
I mean, for the work he put in, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the church is just where, you know, the place that you
got you.
You know,
like I'm gonna show you my point. My point is this: we are so enraged at seeing each other succeed that all that is left is the jealousy that we experience in between one another. That gives us this thing of, before I see this man do well, I want to see him go down. And at least if I see him go down, I feel normal because I'm down, right? So now this is the thing. So so with this in mind, if I went to a church and it was your church and you made $2 million a year and I was making 30, and just by going there, I start making 150 grand. I shouldn't even be mad at you for making what you make. You're exactly what you were supposed to do. Now, in all these churches, why is it that sometimes that the pastor continues to make more, but the people don't continue to improve and they still stay there and they listen? Well, that is part of the reason why people don't get along. Well, if everyone got along, there couldn't be as many leaders, right? When you say, because in areas where people got money, there seem to be far less leaders that are leading the people, because obviously they're disseminating some information that's correct. If there's a whole bunch of people saying a whole bunch of things and none of the information is correct, you just go from leader to leader to leader to leader and to leader to leader, and you keep looking for someone to give you the right answer. So with that in mind, if we are always arising a whole bunch of different leaders based upon our inability to actually give the correct information, and what I mean is not to disseminate and get people to be able to use it and make something out of their life, you'll constantly see different leaders arise. And now you never see a whole bunch of powerful countries that got like 15 supreme leaders. And the Black community is the only community that there's 15 supreme leaders, and then of which everyone's following these leaders, and those leaders are beefing. So everybody below them are beefing, but nobody got any money, right?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying, you know, huh? Like, so that's all I'm saying. Like, the advantage that we got with Brother Polite on his platform is he always tells the truth. So anything that he says, you can question him on, and you can go and you can see. Now, with this in mind, we ain't able to validate everything that everybody says. Sometimes it's just too metaphysical. So if someone tells me, for instance, I'll give you an example. I was at a meeting yesterday, and I was with a dude that was going to give a book to a guy, right? And when he's going to give the book, it was to someone he wanted to, I guess, impress. But the guy that has millions of dollars he wanted to press, and he didn't have much money, but he said, I studied him, and I want to give him this book because I know he likes to read books. Well, here's the deal. If he hands him the book, the dude's going to ask him, okay, well, what have you gotten from the book if you haven't been successful? And why are you handing me the book because obviously it hasn't helped you. What the thing in the Black community is, there's so many leaders that we need something, and we want to have faith in one another so much that before we go for information that was correct, we actually go for the color. You see what I'm like? So there may be information, like Brother Polite says, that is absolutely correct, that may be from somewhere else, and it may be from us. But Black people in this community seem to go for information and take it in from anybody who's Black just because they're Black. In my world, and this is not, and Polite don't have to condone this, but in my world, if a white man could teach me how to make $200,000 more, I'm gonna listen. And matter of fact, I may think that he's in my best interest. I don't know. But at the same time, if I had a Black guy who was smart and could do the same, I would not down him. I would listen to either one because they're gonna take me where I want to go. But for damn sure, I'm not gonna listen to a charlatan that says they got all the answers and they got all the numerology. They know exactly my attitude based on me being a Gemini and my moon sign being Aquarius. And then all of a sudden, he's telling me what I need to do with my life. And then I go, okay. And he's like, well, are you going to pay? I mean, okay, cool. I'm going to pay, but not for every dinner. So I'm just saying, like, it just seems to be a point to where it runs out. And if you find a bunch of charlatans around, you're always going to find a bunch of people who are always going against each other. I don't know, Brother Polite. You have an answer?
Can I ask one more question? I have a question.
Go ahead. Oh, yes. Right here.
All right. So what I'm noticing about, okay, right, we're going to talk about like the hood, you know what I'm saying? We talk about like, a lot of the guys that, a lot of hustling guys that I notice, you know what I'm saying, that like, okay, you would think, you know what I mean, these guys, they doing their thing and, you would consider them as entrepreneurs, you know what I'm saying? But not like in that sense, but just hear what I'm saying, right? Why is it that like a guy, a person that hustled, let's say they'll have a 15-year, they hustle. And then like when they end it, they go back working for the white man. Like you find that where they trying to get a job. So my problem, I'll be like, why is it like, how come why is a lot of our men like that? You know what I'm saying? Why is it like they don't, like, now I'm not condoning, you know what I'm saying, nothing like, everybody go out there, hustle, do this and that. But I mean, the point is, you know what I'm saying, if you do what you do, you try to get out of it and do something, a little positive. So why is it that a lot of them, like, they go right back to working? They go right back to working for the white man. I'd be like, why is it that? Like, I mean, you did all of this hustling and all, you was basically like your own entrepreneur, like, you know what I'm saying? And then it's just like everyone's getting a job back. They're getting this and that. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with a job, you know what I'm saying? I mean, as long as you're not working too much, as long as you're not, you work for somebody, but then, you know what I'm saying, you're not building their empire, like, you want to get out of it. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with, but it disturbs me at times when I see our brothers like that. And I just be like, I mean, what is it? Is it the education that they didn't have? Is it just like all they have is just the education of the streets? And then, and then when that ends, it's like there's nothing else but just, okay, you know what? Hey, I'm going back to work for the white man. You know what I'm trying to say? So, that's something that that I see that a lot. I see that a lot with a lot of friends of mine that I know, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, why are you going, like, I mean, you made all this money. You didn't save none of this money. You didn't like try to educate yourself to say, okay, you know what? Hey, I'm gonna take some real estate classes. I'm gonna go to some seminars. I'm gonna do something while I'm still in these streets. You know what I'm saying? While I'm, and I just don't understand it. It just don't make sense. It's like a lot of they hustle, 15 years, 10 years. When that time is done, they go right back. They sign an application to work for the white man. They like, and then you like, but you're entrepreneur. So you know what I'm saying? If you answer that a little bit for me, I don't know why, what is it like? What's the cause of that?
I think a lot of these guys were hypnotized before they even began into believing, just by nature and seeing their environment around them. That was all that they can do. So for instance, if all you saw like in my in a lot of people's neighborhood, if the one you seen with all of the money was the one that was selling drugs, and this is all you saw, you would be convinced that in order of two things. Number one, in order to be a good person, I am not able to be rich. And number two, if I need to be a rich person, I got to be doing bad things. Now, keep in mind, if you are in per se, like where we are in Beverly Hills here, I may go out and I may see a lot of entrepreneurs that's doing right and per se, according to what they know, and they know that they can make millions just by doing the right things, and they're convinced of something else. Internally, we always want to do the right thing or what we perceive as the right thing. Nobody does something bad just because they want to, unless they're insane. But I will say that upon observing the environment, they take in the fact that that is the only way to do something. And to see beyond that gets hard if you never travel from that city and you never see anything else. So it's, and I'm not saying that it's their fault that this happens. I'm just saying what happens. They've observed the environment. They observed the environment. It's what they saw. They took it in and they go with that. Now, keep in mind, internally, these guys, they think that it's not right. And at the same time, they're like Robin Hood, because if you do something that you consider illegal, you're also feeding your mom. That's how you reason what you're doing is correct, because otherwise you would know exactly what you're doing was wrong, but this is what you're left with. But your heart still says you don't want to do it. So when you make it to a certain point in life and you want to be respected, some of these guys just finally go, you know what? I probably should have in the beginning just did the right thing, and I wouldn't be here at this point in my life. So I'm going to do that right now. So what I'm saying is, it's not that it's wrong what they did in my book to go work for someone. It's just that if they would have had that experience early in their life working for someone, then they could have moved forward to something that may have been better off of observation, because they get tired of working for somebody and they may have observed someone at that business. Like, for instance, if they were working for a white guy and the white guy was making all of the money and he had his business for a long time, they're intelligent. They got a reason that he's doing good business. So now it's up for them to go to that man and ask, okay, what are you doing? I want to know the ins and outs of this. Or even if he doesn't say it, start learning all the procedures and processes that he's doing. Because quite often we're not told these things. Me and Brother Polite, we're still discovering new ways to make money that's like you wouldn't even believe. I mean, the other day when I was at my job or at my business, I'm a business owner. A guy came. I almost said because the platform. I'm usually humble. A guy came up to us and said, "You know what? I do oil fracking." And I was like, "Well, what is that?" He said, "We have a piece of land that we bought that basically that the people that own the land on top don't own the mineral rights below." Now people are like, what type of things are this? Well, there's something called mineral rights. There's something called air rights. Now keep in mind, people can own the air. I don't even know if you know this. All those signs you see that are so high, somebody owns that area, and only certain people can put certain signs there. None of us knew this. You know what I'm saying? And then mineral rights, that's below the earth. So now there's some people who can own land only 6 feet deep. And what's funny is that's where we'll be buried, broke, when somebody else is drilling deep into the earth and pulling out the oil. Now, you know what he told me? He said, now, I'm not saying I endorse Trump. I'm not saying I do. He said, but because Trump is more of a war type guy and oil prices tend to go up at the time that happens, by us not even understanding politics, we don't even know what to get into, right? I mean, even if, like you say, he didn't know what to do, if he understood politics, he would at least know, oh, shoot, we have this type of president. Let me go start putting some of my money in oil. Like, because when oil goes up, what happens to gold, Polite?
Well, gold is way more valuable.
Right. But
it's a recessionary proof metal.
All right. So, but oil is something that goes up and down, right? Yeah, so we have to know exactly when that is. So when they drill in the ground, he said, you know what? You get this in the ground, it's going to supply you with 50 grand guaranteed each month upon certain things in politics going on. And if it doesn't, the minimum you're gonna get is 20 grand. Now you tell me one thing, this is one oil well. So do you think that they potentially, or some of your friends that potentially had the money to invest in something like this? Yes, but nobody around knows this type of information. So it's not their fault. I would say they didn't make their environment. But if you start something and that's all you know how to do, when you're in, and that's the only thing you know how to do, it's just that's the way that you were living life, and that's the way that you knew it. It's not, and I'm not saying it's their fault, but what I would like for you to concentrate on is this. If you're asking those questions, that means you're the most intelligent of all of them, and you know that there's something else out there, because you wouldn't be asking those questions. So by you asking those questions, you know that there's people that you can ask them to do the right thing and to actually get into the things you need to. So don't only ask Polite, or don't only ask me. I know you were asking Polite, but don't only ask me. Go ask somebody else the question, but the reverse. Go ask somebody who's doing well. Hey, I've noticed that you're doing well. Is there any way that I can interview you? And then you may not even say how you did it. Just say, I just want to interview you for my YouTube, right? So when you sit down, you interviewing them, put it up. You say, put it up and say, I'm gonna discover all the success principles out there. And then you just tell them, I'm doing something for media, and I'm discovering people who are very successful, and I want to record and ask you questions. Dichotomy. You're not sitting there in front of them as if you don't have anything. You have something behind you. And as they're recording, they have to give you the correct answers. They don't have to, they cannot be disingenuous with you, because this is going to go on camera. If you went and you did this with 15 different people and you had no more mechanisms to make yourself more rich, and they were rich, then we would have to evaluate how you're taking it in. What do you think, Black?
I'm with that. That goes back to the,
because I came to Polite asking for some, like, I was doing really well, don't get me wrong, but there's always an expansion of knowledge you can know. I don't know about real estate. Polite, he has educated me on real estate. And what is they gonna do? Open up more opportunities to do other things. Take that money and invest it somewhere else.
and that's what I do. Celebrity mentor.
Man, can I say something? Like with that real estate thing, man, like I used to study a lot of my knowledge came from what's it called? Yeah, I don't know if y'all ever read it. He's a it's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. When I came across Polite had Rich Mom Poor Mom. That's when I knew. I said, you know what? Because I was looking, I'm like, man, there's no way somebody's teaching this stuff, and there's not a black man that's teaching something like this. When I came across him, I hurried up and bought that Rich Mom Poor Mom book, and I said, yeah. I said, man, you know what? This is the real estate that I needed. I mean, what this man is teaching is cool and all, but it's not like it's not. I'm not getting. I know I was sensing something that like I'm not getting all that I'm supposed to be getting. He's not giving what I'm supposed to be getting. It's just the basics and all. And then with you, Polite, it's like you just like threw it off the map. When I started reading everything, I started buying your books, and I'm like, damn. So everything that what I read from his name is Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know if any of y'all ever read his books. Yeah. So when I read yours, and I said, you know what, this is what I needed. This is the transition now to, and not only that. You was a person that I'm looking, I'm like, this person, he come from the hood just like me. He looks like me. And I'm like, this is what I needed. And he's teaching something that's even better. Not even better, but that's advanced, more advanced than what they would teach. Because imagine some of the information you give me, Polite, they would have charged me like how much, man? You know what I'm saying? Just to get it. So, I appreciate you for that. And I'm happy I found you, man. I guess it's because, I've always been a researcher. I'm always searching. I'm always an energy in me. I'm like, you know what? Well, when I came across you, man, that's that's what it was, man. But
have all of his books that deal with real estate.
I have not all of them. I have about like, hang on a second. I have a lot. Like I have a lot of books, man, from him. Like just a lot of books. Just like
he's gonna tell you the books to get that are outside.
I got them. I got this. 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 You know what I'm saying? So
Do you
Huh?
have the pennies for millionaires? Do you have the pennies for millionaires?
Do you have pennies off of millionaires?
Oh, yeah, I got that. I got that. I'm just about to read that because you know what it is, right? I'm having a little problem with my credit, right? And then I'm like, damn, why can't I, get some loans in here? And I forgot I had the books. And that's sometimes that we about like I have so much of this information. Sometimes I have to go back and read it. So then now I was getting ready to try to repair my credit, but I'm like, well, hold on. I have pennies for a millionaire. Like I could just read that and just by myself. So that's the reason why I'm kind of. So I've been following you as far as with these classes. Though I know this next class that's coming up on Sunday. That's gonna be like, it right there for the credit and how to.
Gonna be nuts.
Let me tell you something about credit, homie. And then this is something that I learned.
Real talk.
This is going like.
Let me say this real quick before you say it. I'm not even gonna undermine what you're saying. I'm gonna add on to it by letting the people know because somebody in the chat said, he had his brother Nate building quite a bit, and so the thing is, y'all are used to me being here, building, going in, digging into the information. I do my best to get people to contribute to the platform from very unique places as far as our concern, the demographic of people that I'm looking to uplift. Though this information is for every single body. So, like my brother Nate, he just went to a meeting the other day. What's up? From who? What phone? Okay, don't worry about it, baby. I'm teaching, baby girl. So there's a meeting my brother went to yesterday, and he sat in there to get knowledge, just sitting there. Let's see what they're going to build about as far as economics is concerned. And the guy said, "Hey, if you're a millionaire, you don't belong in here. This is for people looking to make hundreds of thousands." So, needless to say, he found that very interesting. Needless to say. So what I'm saying is this. The reason why I have him sharing on the platform today is not just because of his proficiency in health, which is very clear if y'all been on the stream. He's a beast. It's very clear. Yeah, and of course, these are the people that I associate myself with. So whenever I have conversation, and anybody that knows us will tell you, my wife was around right here with my children. We would have plans to go somewhere. It can be a basketball game, because this is the homie I'm normally with when I go to some ball games. It would be a basketball game or what have you. Amazing restaurant. We'll mess around and be late. Like, we're not going to see each other. We have another conversation like this anywhere else. We get so engaged in the information that we will just lose ourselves for time because the information takes priority, because we're always taking from each other and building a stronger foundation. So I said, man, every time, matter of fact, my wife said, I gotta try to find a camera whenever you two start going, because it's like almost like a hip hop battle with knowledge. Only thing, there's no contention, but we just go back and forth and we add on.
You got more brilliant ideas after. And it gets, like, his platform grows, mine grows. That's the way it goes.
Like today, I'm building with him. To get from Gyrus and everything, his data, and then we're just going back and forth. And it's like, man, you know what? Today, brother, let me put this on and share with people. But another reason I brought him on, aside from his proficiency, is the fact that this brother is coming from a certain level of success. He's grown quite a bit. I met him in Las Vegas. He was always trying to track me down, calling whatever numbers.
Yeah.
It was hard to get me. He was looking to book me for a consultation.
Paranoia.
And, when I came through, and the way I roll, I have a security, everybody with me for my consultation. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, yo, what the hell does this go through? Yeah, he got his security with him. But I'm like, that's just the way my family want me to roll. And like, I just trust, I embrace everybody. Those of you that's been on my Facebook, you see it. When I went back to where I live, I literally told people, contact me now and we'll pull up wherever you at. And those of you that saw that on my Facebook Live, you seen how many different hoods I went through, picking up people at random, dropping them off, picking up other people, dropping them off. Because that's my neighborhood. I really grew up there. I don't make up my stories. So I brought him here because of his level of experience, because since the time that we engaged on a mentorship level and he was coming for consultation, from that time to this time now, he has grown exponentially. And a multifaceted type of way.
I have to admit that is true.
Like he's somewhere else. So for me, I'm like, you know what? I mean, the man only been inducted into the Hall of Fame for his rate of consistency, and we know not to make things a race thing. So he's the type, he don't sit here and pride himself in black man that did this, that, and the third. He's that guy that made that accomplishment. That's what he does, because that keeps him in tune with the mission to be great, not be great in a black genre of expertise, to be great because he's black in this genre. But
exactly.
He's just looking to excel. So I never identify him as youngest black because he's just the youngest in general.
I mean, that's so.
So I would actually be hindering him in his accomplishment and his body of work. I would be doing him no justice.
It would be like, then he has to say he's a young black phenom.
And then it'd be like, so there's other phenoms.
So I'm not supposed to be.
I'm not phenomenal
because I'm black.
I'm not phenomenal amongst all races.
Like, it's weird.
Yeah, so, you know, his logic is ill, in a good way, of course. He's definitely a genius based on score, such as myself. You know, we both rate over 145. And so we found a lot in common. But why it's important for him to be here? It's because when you ask these questions, because he's about to give you an answer about credit. And one thing you'll see, you never see me forget the answer or the question, even if an hour elapsed. And if you notice, while I went into that tangent, he went right back and answered that question meticulously. Well, I have him here today also because it's imperative that we understand that he's not speaking from an ambition he's looking to embark upon. He's speaking from a space called success that is very conventional to him, that he presently exists in. So when he gives you incentive or when he gives you advice, I'm talking to everybody that's online, because now you're keeping the company of extremely successful people. The brother is extremely successful. He's very humble. So I'm being careful not to go as far as he would go. But I'm just letting you know he's extremely successful. And the reason why he's here is a gift from me to the family. So someone in his space can let you know from experience, not just from literature that you may download or probably see somebody saying something somewhere online. He's speaking from a place of experience. So when I tell y'all things, and I'm speaking from experience, so much experience, because I tried so much stuff on myself that you see me going crazy. A lot of you saw the credit class that I did 2 days ago. I'm getting great reviews on that class because I literally just spoke straight for like an hour and a half, nonstop, no notes. And still, what he's about to tell you, I didn't even impart to y'all because that was preparatory for the credit course. I just spoke for a length of time until I had to go to my meeting. And I didn't play games. All I did was give him point for point for point for point for point for point. And people was like, yo, now I ain't going to front. I mean, it's so intense. I could share with you right now, if we go to Facebook right now, right? It's so intense. Let's see. I can share with you right now that class, the receptivity that I got from people that enjoyed that class. I also did it on Facebook in addition to doing it on YouTube, which both audiences were very, very elated at the fact that I did it, that we are now at, that one's 50,000. There we go. We are now at, adverse possession. That's not the right one. Adverse possession almost at 100,000 people that viewed it. Yeah, so I'll share it with you real quick, just to show the family that we are now at over 400,000 viewers, and that's powerful. We are now at 413,000 people that class has reached. How to build your credit and get rid of debt by Brother Polite. So with all of that being said, there's still so much to come, of course, because I'm doing a credit course on the weekend for sovereign repair, foreclosure relief, and adverse possession. But what I'm letting you know is there's so much of a wealth of information that only experience can give you, that my brother's now going to tell you something that's going to make it like, it's going to go back to the point that I made, that you're going to pay people to try to repair your credit. And there's nuances to the credit repair paradigm that people will never tell you. And I'm telling you, hey, you'll pay someone to repair your credit, and they may even do a pretty decent job. But what if they don't tell you that the way you browse on social media impacts your credit? Now people heckled me and started going in. There's some people going at me, oh, whoever believes that stupid shit. And I always laugh like, what? It's clear this person didn't even look it up. As much times I kept saying, please look it up. But when I do the credit course, I'll give you the facts of the matter and how they go about seeing what kind of risk you are to extend loans to you based on your social media activity. I mean, we could call it cookies. That should be the most conventional understanding, that there's spyware in your technology. There's also something called IT, or Internet of Things, where they process or simulate data from your activity. This is why there's no coincidences. Certain things pop up on your screen that appears to be of your interest. Well, marketing companies, insurance companies, and all sorts of other financial institutions will spend money to get those analytics to understand the consumer that may pose them a risk or grant them potential sale. Just that simple understanding. I'm just helping connect the dots. But anyway, as I said, don't go around trying to get 20 different jobs and filling out 20 different applications, because every time you fill out an application, it affects your credit more times than less. You fill out 20 applications and you pride yourself, look, I'm not lazy, I'm out here trying to get a job. And I told you what you need to do. I also said, if you're just coming up, only have 2 credit cards and exercise the balance transfer option, whereby you're not supposed to spend more than 15% that of the amount of money accredited to you. So if you get $1,000 credit extension, then on that $1,000 limit that you get on your credit card, you're only supposed to spend $150. And if you spend $200, exercise your balance transfer option on the second credit card and put it over there. And that exercise in itself will warrant the boost of your credit score, because it's not about not using your credit card, because that'll get you in trouble. And using it too much obviously would get you in trouble, especially if you go past the criteria. You get 1,000 doesn't mean you're supposed to spend 900, 950. So it's that kind of exercise that we don't get taught about in the community. And this is why we call it a disease, because one of the #1 causes for disease is poor circulation. And ignorance is a form of disease on account to the lack of circulation of the information. So this is why we're diseased. Going back to your previous question, where you're like, well, how come people do this? They go back to jobs.
They just don't know.
They don't know, and they're also afraid. Being an entrepreneur is a very scary thing, and I'll explain to you why before he goes into the credit. Being an entrepreneur is very scary, because being an entrepreneur is something like this. When you have the luxury of knowing that if I mess up in the world, I could always go back to my mama's house, or I could always go back to my father's house.
Yeah.
That causes you to not live to your fullest potential, because you know that exists. You feel me? Now, someone like myself, I've been forced to figure out if I'm going to try to live in people's homes or do it myself. When I was going to high school, I had my own 3-story house. How? That's not legal. That's not, yeah, well, entrepreneurs don't think about the limitations and the rumors in the form of limitations. What I did was say, I can find someone that if I give them the right amount of money, I should be able to rent a house. So I took my drug money and I rent me a house. Had my crib. I was the youngest one on the block. I live on 2nd Rockaway, okay, in the 90s. People know that. And I was doing my own thing. And I've always been doing my own thing. But I could have been the one that, let me go in a shelter. Let me try to be homeless. I could have quit and just said, let me just be a bum. You know, these are different mentalities that exist in our community. And so what I'm telling you is to be an entrepreneur is to literally say, I don't make money unless I wake up. You know what I'm saying? And if you get tired, then you don't make money, like until you get the ball rolling the right way. Then when you're sleeping, you're making money. And when you go to the movies, you make money. That's when you really start finessing this thing, when you get a mastery of it. But when you first initiate being an entrepreneur, you can be in there for like a week, double dutching it. You know, let me get a job just to be safe. Oh, some of us will only be entrepreneurs if we can live in somebody else's house for free, and we really don't get the concept. So it's a scary thing. So the application of it doesn't really suggest to us that anything is wrong with our people with deception, that they lacking the knowledge to give them the conviction to be consistent at what it is that they're doing. Because I'm gonna tell you, if you're just starting and you haven't been educated and you can't leverage a relationship with your parents or somebody that has created a system of inherited wealth for you to walk into to get some of the prerequisite things out the way, like some kind of startup money for your company, or a place to live, a house, you know, security, everything paid for. That's normal living circumstances when parents create opportunities for their children. Most of us are thrusted into poverty and we have to figure it out. And therefore, it is much easier and lazier to just say, let me get an education and wait until they hand something to me that suggests that I'll be able to do something with this.
Knowledge overrides college. Remember, knowledge overrides college.
And remember, the Rockefellers invested in the school curriculum, not so you can become job creators for people that get employed, not employers. Having said all that, I just want you to listen to my brother for his experience, because he's going to drop another jewel on you about credit that, you know,
one more thing, right?
Credit course, but
one more thing I say, right? I say, like, you can't empower people without employing people, man. Like, you're saying, that's how I look at it. Like, you can't empower a lot of people. You gotta, empowerment comes with employment too, especially with our people. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the things I'm having a problem with, because I'm dealing with, you know, I have, you know, a couple businesses, several businesses, and I'm dealing with payroll now. And so my thing is trying to find my own people to work with me. I don't even want them to work for me. Sometimes I just say, let's work with me, but I'll still pay you and this and that, because you don't want to, you know, come at people and say, you know what, come work for me, this and that, especially our people, man, because, and especially the type of person I am. I'm a young man. I look young. I don't look I'm 33, but you know what I'm saying, I look a little younger than that. So people get intimidated. And so, you know what I mean? So that's one of the things that I wanted to share, just like, yo, look, like, you know, we gotta, you know, if we're gonna empower our people, man, we gotta know how to employ them too. We gotta know that, you know, like,
now watch this.
You know, that's a fact.
Now watch this. Now, Nate, you could go in and let them know another credit nuance that people are not familiar with. And again, be sure to go to IamBrotherPolite.com, type in New Covenant, or type in services, so you can lock down that credit repair workshop, that sovereign credit repair workshop that will be this Sunday, Sunday after, and the Sunday after that. Is a 3-part course, and I may throw a free class in like I've been doing for all the other classes. Tell me about credit, something you realize from your personal experience. Just share something with us, Nate. Tell us about this credit that you're not going to go to school. There's no classes in school.
Got you.
8th grade, 9th grade, 12th grade, letting you know about credit repair when they're preparing you for life.
Right.
No credit classes, no real estate classes.
So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Information, and Brother Polite is absolutely right about this this credit thing. So I'm gonna tell you, one day, as we're growing up, like, I just knew that I shouldn't have a credit card, so I never had one. Now keep in mind, because I did this, my credit score was not good.
No credit profile.
I had no credit profile, right? But at the same time, as when you're young, you buy certain things and you build up credit, and you have the potential of not making the payments on time. And so my credit wasn't the best. So I got some advice for you guys, and this is gonna sound real weird, right? You should focus more on generating money than paying your bills that you owe. And like, now keep in mind, like,
I also tell them buying a house is very stupid under most circumstances.
Right, unless you're gonna sell the house.
But
now keep it.
But people heckle me.
Okay.
About education.
So
go ahead.
So here's the deal. We all have emotions, and as it goes with the house, we have something where we feel emotionally, if we buy this house, this is going to be great.
That's
now
right.
You said that you have a business, right? And let's say you and I'm gonna come back to the credit. You have a business, and if you have a house, there's going to be a certain amount of, I guess, rent that you're going to have to pay on the house. And I call it rent because you're not an owner until you finish paying for the house, right? So if you have a 30-year mortgage, well, you're really a renter even until your last payment, because your house can be taken from you even if you miss the last payment. With this in mind, when you have a house, you also have property taxes. So you may be like, okay, well, I think, let's say someone comes up to you, brother, and he goes like this. Well, I got a house for you to have. It's 120 grand. I'm gonna just give you the house. And you may be like, man, this is great. I got a house. But most people don't know they may have acquired $3,000 to $5,000 in taxes each year they gotta pay just because in property tax. And that's just in an area that don't have high property taxes. With this in mind, I tell them it's disingenuous to yourself if you're trying to have a business and have a house at the same time, if you want to grow your business supremely quickly. I'm not saying you're not able to have a house. I'm just saying you get a house when it's within that 15% to 30% of monies that you use beside all other monies. You're right. Now, keep in mind, as it comes to certain tax brackets, no matter how you want to do this, when you get at the highest tax bracket, your taxes are 54%. A lot of people don't know this.
Tell them that.
Like, no, with this, like,
because we're not prepared to be successful. It's like a relationship. We don't learn how to get together, so we definitely don't have knowledge on how to break up healthy. So when you divorce poverty, you wind up in a new relationship. Word up.
I'm just giving you the thing. Your taxes are 54%. And what I mean is this.
That's crazy.
No matter what you do, there's something called self-employment tax. There's something that's you get taxes from your LLC. You get taxes from your S Corp or your C Corp. Those are two different types of corporations. So keep this in mind. If you are self-employed, you have a 15% tax before you even start. And that's beside tax on your income. So if you made $10 and you would have 15% tax, and on the rest of the 10, you would have your tax bracket of where you at. So let's just say, I'm not gonna just for sport, I'm gonna say 500 grand. Let's say you make 500 grand a year.
How you get around not paying taxes if you already own the house?
Don't worry about it. We'll get into that.
I'm gonna get
let me get into his flow.
So with this in mind,
you're going in.
You 400 grand or 500 grand, you got a 15% tax. What does this mean? This means that you already just made $350,000. Then you're in the highest tax bracket. It's 39.6%. So once you add up 15% plus 39.6, you just hit basically 54.6 tax on your money. And that's self-employment tax. So what do people tell you? They go like this. Well, what you should do is open up an LLC. Well, then you go, okay, I'm going to open up the LLC. And that gives you a benefit. Don't get me wrong. It gives you a shield against someone suing you. But guess what? You got to pay more to have that shield. You have to pay 10% more in tax to get that shield. What I mean is, so if you have an LLC, you're an employee of the company. The company gives 25% taxed. Then you as a person, depending on whatever incomes you want, are taxed. Now, keep in mind, that's still that I said 25 on basically average. But if your company still makes over 500 grand, guess what you get? You still get that same 39%. It doesn't go 35% maximum. And then you still are capped, and still you have your own personal income to where even if you took a salary, and it was a good minimum, you would have 20%. So you just graduated to a higher tax bracket in lieu of using your account like this. Now, what people normally do is this: when they have a corporation, they usually put all of their money in their corporation, and they take a very, very, very small income. So let's just say your corporation makes 500 grand. You make that means your corporation gonna get taxed at 35%, and that means you personally, since you may be taking 30 grand, you may be getting 15 to 20% tax, whatever it may be, but it may be lower. Let's say you even took 20. What they'll start doing is they'll start attempting to use business funds because to do certain things. Now, I'm not trying to be funny. I always tell people be honest. What they do is they'll start making up excuses for why they're using their business fund for whatever they're gonna do. Now, I'm telling them if they're gonna do this, they need to actually use their business funds in the ways that they say. So, I mean, don't be out there lying, because the government is funny. If they can use algorithms in your computer to pick up on your stuff. They're gonna know what you're doing eventually. You ain't gonna get away from it. Like the IRS, you will not run from. They're coming. And even when you go, no, I'm telling you, when you like the C Corp, even when you C Corp, you may get a better advantage, but you will always have this tax bracket that's going to be divided up. Now, with this in mind, I'm giving you the basic knowledge of when a person starting. Now, with this in mind, how you get around taxes for your house. And you know what the answer is?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you the answer. The answer is this. If you move to a state that has state income tax, you're gonna have lower, depending on which tax it is. If you move to a state where it has, basically,
I'm in
lower. No, listen to me. If you move to a state that has state income tax, you're also going to be in a state that has lower property taxes. If you move to a state that has no income tax, like, because remember, property taxes go to the state. Property taxes don't go to the government. With that in mind, if you're in Texas and Texas doesn't have any doesn't have any state taxes that they charge, your property taxes are going to be higher in that area. If you move to a state that has a state tax, then your property taxes will be lower. So even know where to buy your house at is a skill. That's what it is. But if you're in a state that's really good, good weather like California, you ain't gonna get around it at all. So you're not able to get around taxes for your house. That like property taxes are gonna be there. And I don't even know if you like. I think Obama was giving an $8,000 benefit, a tax credit to people who bought a house. Yeah. But then if the state is hitting you for $3 grand a year for your house, after 4 years, it didn't even benefit you to have that house, especially if you don't own it outright. So what I tell people is this: if you're gonna buy a house, do the minimum mortgage or just buy it straight out. Figure out a way to buy it straight out.
These houses already paid for. We was figuring out how to get around paying on the taxes or whatever. But
there's no way you can avoid property taxes. Property taxes are there unless you know when.
Only when you defer taxes, right?
Okay. Well, I see.
Or you use the number one way to, let's use the right word. I don't want to sound like tax evasion.
Okay. Let's make that clear. He's not going to teach you tax evasion.
Yeah, the number one way to approach taxes, as far as tax shelter is concerned, to create a good tax shelter, the number two ways or means is insurance and real estate. Those are the two things to defer taxes, maybe, because even in a pension plan like the QRP, a qualified retirement plan, that's a plan, that's a cash and tax deferrable compensation arrangement plan that lets you behave as a trustee to your own pension, where you can conduct distributions, that is to purchase real estate through your pension and then defer the taxes later, or you can roll over contributions, that's to say, take monies from a previous pension plan and allocate it into the QRP without penalty, and then conduct a distribution to purchase real estate. And in that, they'll allow you 10, 15 years before you have to deal with that tax, in which case, now you can deal with hyperinflation and anticipation for that. You can do some sizable write-offs if you're using the property to make monies, okay? If it's a fixed income scenario, which is good, and you should always set up a fixed income scenario, even if it's your aunt living downstairs. I'm not telling you something illegal. I'm telling you, if I own a property,
it's for making money.
It's for making money.
So, like, you're not able to avoid property taxes on stuff you're not making money from.
There you go.
There you go. So that's why you don't buy a house. That's what.
That's right. Now, if you purchase a property, hear what I'm saying, and your wife lives there or your uncle, hopefully you're renting it out to them. Hopefully you create a fixed income scenario if there's more than one party living in the property. I hope you understand the cracks through crevices. All right? I'm just talking to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Just talking to you. We just talking. We have a regular conversation. These are rules of the game, and then you also retitle the property to the trust, and then that's where you're going to write off those fixed income scenarios. Anyway, aside from that, I want you to go into the credit again.
Okay. All right.
And knock that part out, because I know what I want to hit. I'm waiting for it to happen, because that's what they need to know. Somebody said, please talk smaller numbers. And this is what I tell people all the time. I talk big numbers to people because
I was talking small numbers.
I know, but they got to understand your barometer for small. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they hearing words like 500,000 and everything like that. So,
okay.
So what I'm telling you all is when we don't talk big numbers, like what we believe or consider to be big numbers, we set ourselves up for failure. Because what are you aspiring to do? Are you aspiring to? Right. Let's do it like this. Based on the conversation we had last stream, we said wealth begins at $150,000. And we're supposed to be able to invest at least 1/3 of our income without having to live below our means, which would suggest a 50 grand investment. Win, lose, or draw, we're supposed to be able to do that without even compromising the integrity of our sustainability. We also understand that poverty begins for a family of 4 at $32,000 a year, or for an individual at $15,000 a year. My question was, so what's the gray area called everything between 32 and 150? I call all of that poverty. You know why? Because if it's a gray area.
That's the only reason why I did that, because the 500 grand, once it's done, is 250. And so there's 100 grand
exactly
over
because of the tax. So what we explained to you, a person makes $1 million, they're not a millionaire until they make their second million.
This is 100%
actually true, you know? And if you don't know that, you think, hey, 2 million. I'm around the corner doing my thing. And so we're giving you this information under the pretense we believe we're dealing with people who will succeed. So you can't always say or marginalize us as far as teaching, because the presumption is you will succeed. And guess where we failed the most at? Failures. We already failed. We fail the most at success because we have no preparation for when things actually go good. We don't have a plan for when the plan works out. We just planning to make the money. And when we get the money, then we don't know what the hell to do with it. The plan is, yo, I just got to get the bag. I got to secure the bag. That's what we say all the time. You lose the bag, you hope you get it again. Hopefully I go through another income tax scenario, whatever. But Day, Ray, and Baby, like whoever it is. But the reality is we don't really have a plan for when we win. When we win, where does the money go? What apps do we use? Because now we're in a different era. So we're having this conversation with you all. And what we're saying is this conversation isn't limited to one tax bracket. This conversation is for all tax bracket, but everybody should have an understanding of what they're getting themselves into, because this platform is erected under the pretense you're all aspiring to do better than you did last year, fiscally. And so when you advance and you make more money, one thing that can work to your advantage, if I know personally, this is what I'm gonna say, if I know personally my goal is to have in excess hundreds of thousands of dollars, not even a millionaire yet. I also have some credit situations pending, and I only really intend on investing that which will help my money grow, which is what I mean by saving, because we have to change the definition of the word saving to grow. That which causes your money to grow, or no risk investments that cause your money to grow. I call that saving, because you're taxed different for that which you make money off of versus that which is stagnant. So that's why I said insurance and real estate is very good, because I can put my money in the bank and it's going to be taxable big time. But if I put my money into like tax liens or some kind of insurance, whole life insurance that I can borrow against to maybe even purchase property or use medical bills, whatever the case is, school, whatever, then I won't be taxed the same way if I put my money through insurance or I put my money through real estate. Because even though I'm using it as a form of saving, it's not considered saving at that particular time. But putting it in the bank until a later date where I decide to pull some money out to invest. The problem is the contrast between investing and saving. We have to make saving and investing simultaneous, but maybe saving is no risk investing or that saving. So the reality is, if I say, hey, I got credit pending scenarios that work to my disadvantage, but I have opportunities here that, granted, I stay persistent, I will accrue over $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. And from one year to the next, I'm definitely going to develop into this very powerful company. Or not even major, but I'll just be making enough money. I'll be at 5%. I mean, I'm making $150,000 or more a year. That being the case, then we ask the question, does the means justify the extremes? What that means is I can start paying back all these different debt obligations depending on how overwhelmed I am. Or I can come to the realization there's a certain amount of money that I can make where all the debt is removed. And that sounds stupid, don't it? But go ahead.
Okay, all right. So that's the point I was going to make. So I was going to try to talk on 2 levels. And so since people want to know both levels, I'm going to just talk on the minimum level first, and then I'll get to that. Okay, now with this in mind, a lot of people then money, or some people want to deal with less money, and they want to get rid of the credit problems real quickly. So this is what I'm going to tell you. Let's just say you can generate, you have bad credit, but you figured out a way to generate 10 grand. That's right. So now when you go to the bank with that money, the bank is like assessing how much money you actually have at that time versus the bad credit that you got. And sometimes credit checks can go to your advantage based upon when you ask for the credit check, right? So now check this out, guys. Let's just say you go to the bank. You put 10 grand in, right? Your bad credit is from some things you did in the past. Let's say you owed, I don't know, $1,200. Well, when you go in your bank that time, you can tell them, oh, and then this is on a personal level. This is not even on the business level. Hey, I wanna see if I can get a credit card. Right, bank, they can actually check your debt to income ratio right then and there. When it's in when you have money in the bank, or when you got your bag in the bank, they can go and look. They can check your credit, but then they can also write back and say, oh, but they have this type of money versus what they got here. And actually, it can lift your credit rating up as long as you do not use a credit card. Now, keep in mind, for instance, as long as you're not accessing the credit at the time. So now you go, okay, so what does this mean? What you should do is, in potential, cancel your credit cards and then try to work to get your cash income up. At that time, if they are not able to offer you a credit card, they can offer you something called a secure party credit card. And what does this mean?
That's right.
That means that, okay, now that we see, and because I'm going to do it at that level, now because there's another range too. Now that we see that you have proven you can have enough money, we can give you that basically charges a little interest on the purchases, but it's backed by your own money, right? So every time you're swiping now, you're building up credit, right? At the same time, when you're swiping, you're building your credit and your bag is going up all the time in the bank. So you're swiping. So now with this in mind, your credit will be moving up no matter how much bad credit you had at the time. Now, keep in mind, there's also another way to do this. Let's say you have the 10 grand that you build up to. What you do is you open a business bank account. With this in mind, you open up also a business and get you an EIN number. When you do this, but your business has a credit number and you have a credit number, right? So certain things that you may not have been able to purchase under your name, your business could actually purchase. So it may be easier for you to make money from your business, use that credit card, build up your business account, that make the money that you need, put it into your business, then shift the money into your normal account to where you can leverage the money that you have versus your credit to get your score to go up. So you're using your business to help you out. Basically, that's what you're doing. That's on the small scale, right? Now I'm going to tell you on the larger scale what I was going to talk about before. This is my advice. I'm not saying don't pay your debt, but at the same time, when you do pay your debt, you want to pay it back in intervals, because people sometimes can drop their credit by paying all of their debt off at one time, especially when you have a certain amount of money. With this in mind, focus on paying your debt as slow as possible and growing your income as great as possible. Now, let me tell you a story. One day, I went in the bank, and when I went in the bank, I had like, I'll be honest, I had like a 620 credit score or something. I had a certain amount of income, and it was an income that I would consider that would be pretty good. Now, with this in mind, I went in there and they asked me, Mr. Dilworth, have you ever applied for a credit card? And I was like, oh, no, I haven't applied for a credit card before. It says, well, have you ever thought about it? I said, well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, nothing like that. But at the same time, she said, okay, well, let's check on it and let's see if you can get it. My score was literally, I think, 630 or 40. She goes, oh, wait a second, Mr. Dilworth, we got to report how much income you got also. And I swear to you, within 2 months, the black card was being sent to my house. I hadn't paid one extra thing on my credit debt, which I didn't have that much credit debt, but I did have some, but I didn't pay it. Even though that thing wasn't paid, my income was as such that when they put that in versus my debt, my credit went to I went to 720 on the credit score, and they were sending me black cards by the next week. So what I want to tell you guys is this. When you have something or a way that you messed up with your credit, yeah, pay it back in small intervals as you can, as the smallest intervals as you can, and work on getting your money up high as possible. Because one day when you go to apply to actually have anything that has to do with credit, they're not going to really be looking at your debt. Like if you had $2,000, $3,000 debt, again, I'm going to talk small numbers, but you had 450 grand in your account, they're going to laugh at that debt. They're literally going to go, they could pay that if they wanted to pay that, 740. And you're like, wait a second, how can that go from there to there just by this? That's the way the credit system works. And at the same time, you need the credit. Now, with just with a couple of nuggets, like Polite was talking about the life insurance plan, it was told to us straight, or it was told to me straight by God. He says he doesn't understand why so many people are broke when the amount of life insurance you have can be based, or why they would want to be broke, when the amount of life insurance they have can be based upon what they make as income. So that's why I'm saying, if Polite is saying to invest and to get your money up, every time that your money goes higher, you're able to take out life insurance policies based upon income or what your net worth was at the time. So let's just say you were 200 grand. You may be able to take out 3 life insurance policies that are worth a certain amount. Once you take out those life insurance policies, well, you can take that to the bank and use that as a collateral to get more money that you can borrow against. And now you have a business. You have a business line of credit when you say Polite. And no matter what, they're going to get paid because you already used your life insurance as collateral. But those are the things that I wanted to tell you. I just wanted to tell you, don't worry so much about what you owe. Pay back what you owe slowly. It was taught to me, if you pay it all off and you don't have a lot of money, guess what? You still, your income to debt ratio. So somebody who has $5,000 that they owe in credit and has 300 grand in the account is doing much better than somebody who owes 1,000 in the account and then they pay the $3,000 off. Now it's pretty much your debt to income ratio still really didn't change very much. and it's not going to help you out. So hopefully, is that what you wanted to know?
That was a great suggestion for the person. I just wanted them to hear something different about credit, so they got an understanding that it takes place on so levels.
Right. Income. You have higher incomes, you ain't gonna have no problem with no credit.
That's a fact.
Like that's so. I always tell people work there, and now everything's taken care of. But do everything you can to get your income as high as you possibly can. And a lot of people get into the credit problem because they were not focused on that. They were focused on what they could have on the day. They can have because they didn't see the ultimate end of what they were attempting to do. I'm gonna tell you straight something that's not a lie. When I started my business, and people can attest to this, I worked 10 years straight with no break every day. And people go, my God, you know, how can someone work like that without a vacation? It's because I knew one day around and be here to sit with Brother Polite as my business is still going back home right now. So that's the reason why I did it. So you have to get to a point to where you can do this. If you want to have access to people like Brother Polite, did you work a 9 to 5 today that wasn't for yourself today, Polite?
No, not at all.
Did not. Neither did I. So now, with that in mind, I'm able to access him because he's not at work and I'm not at work. When you agree?
Yep.
And then at the same time, we're at work, right?
Okay. Yep.
Right now, doing what we want to do. So fun. What is fun? Fun is where it has been told to me, you never ever want to do a job that you need to take a vacation from. If you feel that you have to take a vacation from the job that you've done, then that really isn't what you like to do. Like you never ever hear Michael Jordan saying that he needs to take a vacation away from basketball. Basketball is always in his life at some capacity. It's something that he loves. And right now he still plays it and doesn't make all of the millions from his basketball. So why would he continue to play it? It's because he loves the game. Why does Warren Buffett, and I know, can I talk about Warren Buffett?
Yeah.
Okay, why does Warren Buffett, why does he go to work every day and still work in finance and still work with stocks? Because it's a game to him right now. It's like a video game. He just want to see how much better he can be each and every day, even though that he doesn't even have to do that. But he does because it keeps him alive. Like I said, we don't have to grow older. We don't have to grow old. We have to get older, but we don't have to get old. So that's my aspect on credit. I'm just telling everyone, talent that you're good in. If you ever want to know if there's a saturation in anything, if you want to know what business to do, pick a business and attempt to name the best person in the business. For instance, guitar lessons. Not Polite. Who's #1 in guitar lessons? Can you think of anyone?
#1 in guitar lessons.
No. Okay, that's your genre. Now you can become #1 at that. Because through marketing like that, can you think of anybody who's #1 in saxophone lessons?
No.
Exactly. So anybody who says that there's not a market for something is crazy. Because if there's not an oversaturation of people in it, it's available for you. That's all I want to say. So that's how you got to do. You got to be blessed and finding out what is your niche, what you're best at doing. Create the space for you to be the best in that. Surround yourself with the right marketing tools and then put yourself out there. And you can cause controversy as much as you can and have as much fun as you possibly can. And you are 100% going to be on the right track. So
we're going to close out. You know, I just read a comment. Someone said this sounds fugazi as fuck.
Fugazi.
So I suppose it's all fake. But I tell you this. Whenever someone says, try it out. But you know what's sad is we as a people, we always ask that people who achieve a certain level of success come speak to us. Then when they speak to you, that don't sound real. Maybe it don't sound real is a ploy to make sure you don't have to work. But it's not supposed to sound familiar, because if it was familiar, why wouldn't you have done it to know that such a thing actually exists?
Can I say this?
Go ahead, my brother.
Here's the deal for people who think this is fake. Like now I can be myself.
We're
right
not even selling nothing.
Here we go. I'm not selling nothing.
He's just giving you information.
Let me tell you what fiction is. Fiction is based upon self-image. I'm gonna tell you straight. So
in the ring.
here's the deal. If someone hands you a book that shows you $1 million, and let's just say in the book it had all of the information you needed, only the person who was confident enough that they could do it would actually be able to use the information. And you know who that book would be fiction to? Someone who didn't believe in themselves. It'd be like they were reading a fiction manual, just like something that somebody wrote as a novel. So keep in mind, there are people around you that typically you would like to be like, but you see their life as fiction. That's why you look so highly up on them. And don't get me wrong, I even told Brother Polite, sometimes he gives away some of the stuff that he uses. And I'm like, sometimes you should keep a little bit for yourself, because once they discover the science behind what you're doing, then they want to say you're not magical and you could have came up with the same thing, not knowing that you're coming up with the next thing, right? So with that in mind, like, look, guys, let's look at fiction, science fiction. Now, keep in mind, how many things did we see in the 60s that were science fiction that are modern things we use right now? Oh, yeah, what we're using right now. In Star Trek in the 1960s, they had people that talked just like me and you, and it was fake at that time. And guess what? It's real today. So guess what? It was fiction for somebody, but somebody was thinking it was real and had the confidence that they can make it happen. And guess what? We're here today. And then today, there's some people that will hear what me and Polite say and not understand and think that it's fiction, because is it going to be fiction when we go to the game tomorrow? I mean, that's not, I mean, the money you got to pay to be on the court or that we pay is not fiction to be on the court. So with that in mind, we're going to be there tomorrow, and that's not going to be fiction. So obviously, if there's a certain dichotomy of lifestyle that somebody lives and that you would like to live, you have to be a bigger listener to what they're doing. And even if you don't take in everything they say, you don't have to be a person that just relies totally on this information. Like Polite says, go Google it, see if it's true. Go to somebody else, verify it. And once you find it's verifiable, don't come back and say it's still fiction. That's right. So you go out and you verify, and then they come back and still troll you. Now, you know why they're trolling at this time? Because the information was right. Okay. Not because the information was wrong no more. Because then they will come back at you as if the information was wrong. Like someone trolling me about wrong information, I'm cool with. Because you know what? It's going to correct me if I'm wrong. Someone trolling me just to be trolling me knows that they ain't able to refute the information. So all they can do is just dislike me as a person. But even in that, guys, if you dislike someone and they're truly telling you the right thing, still listen. You may dislike them. You may not like their delivery. One day you may need to know it so you can deliver it to all the people that dislike them further than you dislike them. So, but you don't have to be on any platform you don't want to see. You can actually get the information. No information is new under the sun, but we can say the inventiveness of how it gets to you could be new. And if it's prevalent in society toward everyone, and you're actually able to get the information just in lieu of having your computer beside you and being lucky enough to have a computer, because a lot of people, and I don't like to really say this, may not have access to a computer. Obviously, you should be willing to take in the information and test it out. So we're not telling you to do this, right? Polite, we're not telling you. Some people look at this and they try to get convinced that this is what they should be doing. No, this platform is not to tell you, and I'm not sorry to take over your platform, but like this platform is not to tell you what to do. This platform is to answer questions. That's right. So if you come with questions, then you're gonna be fine. If you come with statements, well then what is the use of looking at the platform in the beginning? Because you already knew all of the information. So if you knew it was fake before it started, why would you look at something fake? Polite, would you look at something you find fake? No.
that means they trying to figure it out.
How many fiction books have you read in your life versus realistic books that give facts?
I don't even know if I read anything.
You don't even know if you read any fiction, and neither do I. So I mean,
closest I get to fiction is going to see a movie for entertainment purposes. But still, I implore that they integrate whatever kind of contextual themes they put forth to us with some kind of contemporary science or psychology or something.
Has to be this way.
I don't have time to waste time because I was born at a disadvantage. The great advantage is being black, for what it's worth, right? But you know, this system doesn't really care about that in a lot of instances. So I don't have time to read too much. What's them sex novels and all that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And watching porn and doing all.
Nobody got time for this.
I'll just have real sex if the time comes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When the time comes, I don't need to indulge in too much fictional behaviors or ideas. So I like to thank everybody for coming on. Of course, you could go to IamBrotherPolite.com. IamBrotherPolite.com, and you can be sure to lock in for those sovereign workshops, sovereign workshop and credit repair.
Yes, sir. Classes. I just locked mine in too.
Oh, there you go. You just locked in?
Yeah, I just got it, so I'm ready.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. And I thank everybody else for listening. Of course, it's this Sunday. I'm going to share with you all on the screen. We're going to go to IamBrotherPolite.com. And you're going to click on the service link or the New Covenant link. In either instance, when you click the link, you'll see Sovereign Workshop, Adverse Possession. You also have the health course. So you can look for the health course if you click health. You go to the health course. If you want the real estate course, you go to services too. Of course, the books and the DVDs are there. Get your textbooks. Of course, you need Pennies Off of Millionaires, Houses of the New Credit Card, Real Estate and Legal Fiction, Sovereign Bible. Inequity or iniquity, definitely going to need that for UCC aspect of the adverse possession and foreclosure relief. These classes are a set series of classes. This course consists of at least 3 classes starting this Sunday, the following Sunday, and the Sunday thereafter. Those books that I just made reference to are real good reading material. Every class you will get the PDF that I'm working out of emailed to you half hour before class so you can keep up with everything that I'm teaching. And this is going to be a phenomenal experience. Sovereign Workshop and Credit Repair. We're going to deal with adverse possession, credit repair, and foreclosure relief. If you miss the class or you show up to class late, don't worry. The high version of the class will be uploaded on the back page of the website. That means that people who come to the website for all the conventional purposes will not see that information. Those of you that purchased the class, you will be given a passcode 24 hours from the time of the live viewing, which will be a pay-per-view high-def version of that, the high-def version of the pay-per-view. The edited high-def version. You get a passcode and you'll have access to it for the duration of the course. So if you miss some of it or miss all of it, do what you have to do. Like we've been doing the other courses. Those of you that did the other courses, y'all know the route. If you don't have a Gmail account, make sure you have a Gmail account and you email us, because the system to preference, in order for you to view the live streaming, the private live stream demands that you have a Gmail account in order that you watch it. We use a different funnel through YouTube, and because YouTube has subcontracting with Google, it behooves you and us to tell you to get a Google account, because you'll be able to view class. We can't guarantee that if you have any other type of email that you'll be able to view it. Make sure you have a Gmail address, and we'll be able to send you something vicariously through YouTube, because YouTube actually sends you the email to let you know where to go to find the class. Again, if you miss the class, you still have access to the class for the duration. You want the high def version, it's because it's nice and clear. You're working with your PowerPoint. Why you want the live stream? Because it empowers you with the ability to be able to ask questions live and connect with us. Those questions may not necessarily be guaranteed to be part of the high def version. The class itself will be what you see in its entirety. The live session is when we interact with everybody as well, and we give you an opportunity to ask your questions or deal with some of your most immediate needs or concerns, maybe things that we might have left out of the course. But if you've been watching everything we've been uploading for the past week, you definitely gonna love it. Tune in to us on Facebook Live tomorrow. Check me out on Brother Polite on Instagram, brother_polite on Instagram. We'll be uploading an exclusive Facebook class, tomorrow for credit repair. It's going to be exclusively on Facebook for 12 o'clock. Okay, we're going to do 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to rock it out for maybe an hour or so. It's going to be exclusive to Facebook. So go to Brother Polite on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Brother Polite. Like the page so you can get the notification that we will be doing a live session. It's going to be exclusive to the people that go on Brother Polite. I will not be doing it on YouTube tomorrow. I may have a class later on in the evening tomorrow pertaining to foreclosure relief. In fact, I'm definitely going to do that tomorrow. Okay? I apologize. I said 12 o'clock tomorrow. I'll probably be at the Clippers game. I'm going to give you guys an update. Just follow us on brother_polite on Instagram to find out when we will be conducting the Facebook Live. I might do it very early. I might do it very late. So we'll figure it out. I might do it in between time. So it's going to be a bit spontaneous, but I don't want you to miss it because it's only going to take place on Facebook Live. And I'll find some time to deal with foreclosure relief. We have to deal with foreclosure relief. Thank you again. Again, you click on Brother Polite. I am brotherpolite.com. You click on service. You click service. The first thing you'll see is Sovereign Workshop and Credit Repair. We start in class at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That is this Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You will receive the PDF 30 minutes before class. If you miss the class, you'll have a high definition that you can get on the back page of the website that is not convenient for the people that are just conventional customers coming to the site. More rather, is to your convenience as a patronizer of the actual course. It's exclusive to you with the passcode. When you get your Gmail account, if you don't have it already, understand that only the person who has access to your email will be able to see the actual class. That's how it works. If you try to share it, like some people have before, it doesn't work with the person you share. The video will not show. Then you will complain and you will say, Polite, I paid for class and it wasn't showing. Well, that's because you shared the link. It's the person who has it after that, you won't be able to use it by no other means or no other person. That person comes into your house and sits right next to you. There's no other way to share the link. So if there's a problem with the link, first ask yourself, did I share it? Because that'll probably be the problem. All right. So again, it's Sovereign Workshop and Credit Repair this Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's make this thing actually happen. It's going to be a powerful event. Looking forward to it. Thank you all for your support. Let's thank Brother Nate. You can find him on Facebook. What's your name on Facebook?
Oh, you can find me at facebook.com/Nate New Body Creator or facebook.com Nate Hall of Fame Fitness. So on my Instagram.com or Instagram. My Instagram, you can find me there at Instagram.com/Nate_Hall of Fame Fitness.
Yeah.
And on Facebook, facebook.com/Nate Hall of Fame Fitness. So
let's get it. So you know where to get the brother, because that was a very high volume question on the site somewhere between the time we was blacking out going in. Then it's like, man, where did we find this brother? So, you know, this is Black Greatness. Love to share the platform and the opportunity. So I always got to let you know where you can find it. And I got to
just say, just greatness. We're great, no matter what.
That's right. That's right. Greatness knows no discrimination.
You got that right.
You're just great in general. I hope you understand that. That's not a bad thing. It's
not a bad thing.
It's actually a plus. That means we encompass greatness throughout humanity, not exclusive to our race. You got to think about what we be saying. Again, I am brotherpolite.com. POLIGHT is an acronym: pride, optimism, love, integrity, gallant, honesty, and trust. POLIGHT. Those are the things that I beseech as well as employ and contribute to humanity. Pride, optimism, love, integrity, gallant, honesty, and trust. POLIGHT. Go to IamBrotherPolite.com.
That brother's bad.
Let's get it in. Peace. Love you all. Eat Louisville.